5,000 kilometers on snow, ice, gravel, mud and tarmac. From 20 degrees below to 40 above. At breakneck speed every metre of the way. The teams and drivers wring every last scrap of performance out of their million-euro cars, walking a knife edge between overcautious and over the edge. This is what it takes to become World Rally Champions. But for one top team, this year is not just going to be a battle for glory, they face a fight for survival. The World Rally Championship is big money motorsport, second only to Formula One. For the car manufacturers who spend tens of millions to take part, only the winners really see the benefits. 3 out of 6 big-name manufacturers pulled out of the sport last year. Some are now wondering if Subaru could be next. The team has enjoyed enormous success in the past, but it's 3 years since their last championship title. And the pressure for success is now greater than ever. This is the story of one extraordinary year with the Subaru World Rally Team.
It's going to be a hell of a season.
It's the final day of testing for the team's new car before the first rally of the season at Monte Carlo in just 3 weeks' time. The team is fine-tuning a new version of the Impreza World Rally car that has evolved over the last 12 years. They've redesigned hundreds of components and spent months testing all over Europe in a search for improved performance. At the centre of everything, as always, is their star driver, Norwegian Petter Solberg. Petter's one of the top 3 drivers in the world, a millionaire, a perfectionist and a workaholic.
For me, motorsport is 24 hours a day. I'm loving it and this is everything for me. It actually comes before my family and I know it. It's not nice to say, but that's how it is.
Over hundreds of kilometres of testing, Petter's feedback has been a crucial part of improving this year's new car. And he's hoping that it's going to turn around his fortunes. Petter was world champion with Subaru in 2003. Since then, a combination of mistakes, technical problems and bad luck has left him trailing his rivals.
We have had too much bad luck, but this year it's our year. We're gonna be world champion and I think everybody is gonna work very hard to get it back again.
Back in England, Petter's team boss is a man equally obsessed with winning. Since the team began in 1989, David Lapworth has made the Subaru brand synonymous with success in rallying.
To get value out of a motorsport program, you need to be seen to be winners. You don't have to win every rally, but you have to keep your strike rate such that you're always perceived to be in the frame, you're always perceived to be a leading team.
David has a budget of €50 million a year and the facilities of one of Britain's biggest motorsport companies at his disposal. Today, he's getting the latest reports from testing. He spent €5 million of last year's budget on developing the new car, so he's anxious that it will deliver results. Down in the workshops, his mechanics are more worried about simply getting the new car ready in time.
Well, we'll have to solve.
The 3 cars for Monte Carlo are due to be shipped out by the end of the day. But John McLean, chief technician on Petter's car, is having a parts crisis.
There's lots of small components and bits and pieces that we're waiting on, and it's slowly coming together. I mean, everybody from every department is flat out to get the bits to us.
With just hours to go until those empty trucks outside need to be loaded and hit the road, this car is missing something rather vital: its engine. So how does one of the world's biggest and most successful rally teams find itself in a race just to get to the start line? The survival of a world rally team depends more than anything else on their ability to turn one of these into one of these. The rules state that world rally cars must be based on a current model 4-seater road car, and that at least 25,000 of them must have been built for sale. It's this close relationship between the road car and the rally car that makes it so worthwhile for Subaru to spend €50 million a year of their marketing budget on their rally team. They're both high-performance, four-wheel drive cars, but the difference between a sports saloon car and a world rally car is reflected in their price tags. To really appreciate the differences, you need the help of a top professional driver. 26-year-old Chris Atkinson is Australia's hottest young rally driver. This year he'll be fighting for a permanent place with the Subaru team, which has a reputation for turning young drivers into world champions. So what do you get for 40 grand? First, you get a turbocharged 2.5-litre 300 horsepower engine. You get reliability, ABS, traction control, four-wheel drive, and a nice stereo.
My mum had a WRX when I was at school, and it used to be quite cool to turn up in that, and all the guys would be jealous of that.
And Chris can do a lap of this 3-kilometre test track in 1 minute 38 seconds. So, what do you get for €630,000? First, a secret weapon called launch control.
We don't have to use the clutch, it automatically engages and we can just take off straight away, and it manages the level of grip and controls the slip.
Which means it starts like a rocket. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It makes the road car look like your granny's driving.
I think the starts in these things are the most impressive. You touch the throttle and it's just gone.
The rally car has a standard Subaru Boxer engine, rebuilt to racing specs, optimised for torque and acceleration rather than top speed, so that rocket thrust is available whenever you want it.
And that's where you make time in rallying. You need the torque to respond between the corners, and then you can push. And those little short bursts of speed is where the time comes.
You also get a €100,000 semi-automatic gearbox, which can change gear in 10 milliseconds. Add to that racing suspension, weight reduction, tyres that cost €700 a piece, and you've got a car that sticks to tarmac like glue and tears up this track a massive 8 seconds quicker than the road car. And of course, it can also do this, this, and this. So, in their quest to extract every last scrap of performance out of every single component, these guys will always use every last day, hour, and minute available to fine-tune their machinery before each rally. But if you're not in it, you can't win it. "1,400 kilometers away, temperatures are dropping. Snow is falling, and the stage is set for one of the oldest and most challenging rallies in the world. Rally has evolved since the first Monte Carlo rally. In In 1911, 20 motoring enthusiasts had up to 7 days to reach Monaco from 6 different start points. In the 1920s, the first high-speed time runs, called stages, were introduced to help decide the winner. Before long, professional drivers started recceing the time stages before events, which led to the invention of pace notes.
Easy right. Dead straight for about 400 yards. Hairpin.
Navigators became co-drivers, and thanks to pace notes and steadily improving car and engine design, speeds rocketed. After some nasty accidents with the infamous Group B cars of the 1980s, the World Rally Championship now has a tight technical formula designed to restrict power to 300 horsepower and keep the spectacle within safe limits. This year's Monte Carlo Rally includes 366 kilometers of time stages over 3 days. The drivers must also complete 970 kilometers of road sections between the stages and the main base, Service Park in Monaco. It's 2 days before the rally begins, and the tension is mounting.
Welcome to Monte Carlo.
The cars have arrived and the team is setting up its service area. Engineering rooms, workshops, hospitality tents, kitchens with food, spares, computers, cables, lighting, everything they could possibly need for a weekend of rallying. Their big rivals are within easy spying distance, as are 41 privateer teams, varying in size and budget from quite professional to one man and his hatchback. After months of preparation, it's finally time to unveil the new car. And this year's lineup of drivers. Peter and Chris are joined by French driver Stéphane Sarrazin, another young talent hoping to make it to the top level with Subaru. He's got 4 rallies with the team this year to prove what he can do.
For me, it's the second year with Subaru, so it's fantastic for me. Big opportunity, and I know the car, I know the mechanics, engineers, so it's very good.
Thursday morning sees the team up in the mountains for shakedown, an important 4-hour practice session before the rally begins tomorrow. The drivers will do multiple runs on a timed 10-kilometer stage to prepare themselves and their cars for the unique challenges of this rally.
The temperatures typically are just around 0, and the difference of a couple of degrees can be massive between the stage being dry and damp or being icy and treacherous. And of course, if it snows and it catches you out, you could be on completely the wrong tyre and lose minutes.
The Monte is run on tarmac roads, but in the blink of an eye, they can change from dry to wet to ice or even snow. 4 different surfaces that demand different driving techniques, different suspension settings, and different tyres.
To the crash, 150, very slippy, full ice up in this corner.
It's going to be a mad, bad 350-kilometre charge down narrow alpine roads. Make a mistake, and you face either a stone wall or a massive drop off a cliff. All this makes the Monte an extreme test of man and machine. Peter's slow on his first run.
Difficult conditions, incredible. So much ice around, and this morning it was actually just wet in the morning. Then it's turned around to be full ice, so you can never trust these conditions here in the mountains in Monte Carlo.
After each run, the drivers and engineers get together to discuss improvements they can make to the car.
Really slippy up there. It's almost sheet ice everywhere. So they're really struggling for grip and traction. So we've gone a lot softer, and we're going to see if it works. On everybody. That's how the feeling of confidence is. Confidence and traction. That's the main thing. If you don't have the full confidence, you lose a hell of a lot of time. But we're doing some big steps here now.
Most important will be Petter's tyre choice for each set of stages. Thanks to the wildly unpredictable conditions, the teams are allowed a wider range of different tyre designs here than at any other rally. For the ice, there's a special winter tyre, which can be fitted with metal studs around the edge. For wet or slushy conditions, there's a heavily grooved intermediate tyre. For dry tarmac, there's slicks. These have lighter grooves, leaving as much rubber as possible in contact with the road. But whatever tyre you choose, it's going to be a compromise.
We have to think slick or intermediate.
Maybe too much, no?
I think,
Sooner or later, the drivers will face dry tarmac on winter tyres or black ice on slicks.
Monte Carlo has everything. Snow, ice, gravel, tarmac, dry, wet, everything. And normally we have the wrong tires.
Petter has retired here 3 times out of 5 attempts, but this year he's determined not to get left behind by his 2 main championship rivals. The favourite is current world champion Frenchman Sébastien Loeb. He's driving a Citroën Zara run by the Belgian Kronos team. Loeb loves Monte Carlo. He's won here 3 times in 4 attempts. But he's playing down his chances.
On ne peut pas trop comparer avec les autres voitures, tout le monde met des autres pneus, tout le monde essaye plein de choses. Donc on n'a pas trop de références. Pour nous, ça va. J'espère que ça ira bien demain aussi.
Petter's other main rival is Flying Finn Marcus Gronholm. It's the former champion's first rally for Ford, and he's liking his new car.
I'm really optimistic and what we can do with the car, so it feels good.
Of the big 3, Gronholm is the fastest in the shakedown. But tomorrow will be the true test of how the rivals compare. The teams head back to Monaco to analyse their data and finalise their strategy for the first stages of the rally.
For the moment, it's the best guess that we can make. I don't think we need to make it.
So we know Citroën and Peugeot had the full stud inside today. But the first run, after my opinion, was more actually full stud.
Anyway, we'll make that decision obviously in the morning.
Just to see the trend.
At the Subaru team meeting, Petter would happily debate tyre choices all night.
There's no more discussion because obviously we could get the guys all packed up.
But with 20 years of World Rally experience, David is very much in charge of strategy, and he won't be deciding anything until the overnight weather reports come in.
We're ready to have the meeting in the morning at 6:20.
Well on it.
In 2.5 hours' time, the team will get their first chance to see how their new car matches up to their rivals.
First test of the year. A lot of new things, so we have to make sure that everything works. It will work.
But first, David must now decide what tyres to give his drivers for the first set of 3 stages.
We're getting the weather reports back from the stages that say they're in quite nice condition. There's a little bit of ice and frost around and so on, but they are perhaps drier and cleaner of ice and snow than you would have expected 48 hours ago.
The first 3 stages are some of the highest in the rally. They're also 77 kilometres away, a 2-hour drive.
It was 6 o'clock in the morning when those reports were all made. We have to make the tyre choice at 6:30, and the cars don't go into the stages for at least another couple of hours.
All the teams spy on each other to find out what tyres their rivals are using. So David already knows that Loeb is going out on studded winter tyres. but he's decided to gamble on a more ambitious strategy for his star driver. He's putting Petter on slick tyres. The idea is that across all 3 stages, Petter will be able to gain more time on the long dry sections than he loses on the icy patches. David's gambling on what exactly happens with the weather over the next 2 hours as the drivers make their way into the mountains. With just 10 minutes to go before the first stage is due to start, there's a problem.
Go ahead, Phil. Over.
The road is completely blocked for about 1.5 km up to the start. There's no way I can make it on time.
Petter and his co-driver, Phil Mills, are stuck in traffic and are struggling to get to the start of the stage on time. It seems that the Monte Carlo Rally is too popular for its own good. Finally, Sebastian Loeb gets the Monte Carlo Rally underway. 13 minutes behind schedule, Petter's up next.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. 6 left half long, open 6 right left, 100, 6 right left 60, and 4 left minus, half long, tightens a bit, opens 40.
The team follows Petter's progress with a GPS tracking system. They can compare his times every few kilometres with his rivals. Petter's really struggling. Since dawn, the temperature's actually dropped and a harsh frost has made the stage extremely icy. Loeb makes light work of it on his studded tyres. Petter has to tiptoe on his slicks.
It's full ice all the way up through the hairpins.
Petter finishes the stage 11th, which turns out to be equal last place. The traffic problems meant that only 11 cars made it to the first stage. The other 42 entrants have been sent back to Monaco and awarded Petter's time. Petter now needs much drier conditions for his tyre strategy to pay off.
6:56, chrono.
On stage 2 of the Monte Carlo Rally, Subaru's Petter Solberg already has 2 minutes to make up. The stage is drier, but not dry enough. This time, Gronholm is fastest on intermediate tyres. Petter's still struggling. David's slick tyre gamble is misfiring badly.
We underestimated just how frosty it would get, and our choice was too optimistic, so we lost a little bit of time in there.
Stage 3 is looking much drier. Petter can now push hard and try to get back some of that lost time. Or can he?
La Special 3, elle était annulée. They decided to cancel the stage 3 because there were only 11 cars in the rally.
Yep.
Why didn't they cancel 2 then?
Yeah, I know they should have, but... Well, they might...
The cancelled stage turns a bad tyre choice into a disaster.
That's the way they're thinking. But that's why I wanted to speak to Petter. Yeah.
But David's not giving up. He's putting in an official protest.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's helping us though, Phil. Just what we're trying to prove to them is the only fair thing to do is to cancel the times from 1 and 2.
By the time the drivers get back to Monaco, the dust has settled. Petter and Phil get the verdict. Subaru's protest has been rejected.
You can imagine how annoyed we are. We dropped so much time on the first 2, which we knew we were going to do, and then take it all back again in stage 3. So the plan was working perfectly, but then it was cancelled. So it's quite a big mess now.
At lunchtime service, the team is allowed 30 minutes to work on each car, while Petter checks in with the bosses.
Just put 100% ice the whole stage.
David and his engineers need a new tyre strategy for this afternoon's 3 stages. Lewis Moyer is on his bike, spying on Ford and Kronos, all part of his role as sporting director.
We can see what Marcus does. We can see what Marcus does.
Maybe not
Chris. Hi, Lewis. Slick. Okay, thank you.
This time, David's going more cautious than his rivals. He needs Petter to get his confidence back, so he's giving him intermediates. Back in the mountains, the local gendarmes have cleared the roads, and the full field of 53 cars is finally unleashed.
Extra long, 80.
Petter's confidence returns. He can finally start pushing and working his way back up the field.
-half long, 14.
He's on the pace, the new car feels great, Petter is back in the groove. But the final stage of the day brings more drama.
He's stopped in the early part of the stage.
It's not moved. No, the yellow hasn't moved, so...
It was odds on that at least one driver would get caught out on the ice today. But no one dreamed it would be this one.
Putain de merde.
He won't be getting out of there in a hurry.
Is it April the 1st?
Rally teams don't normally celebrate each other's misfortunes, but with Sebastian Loeb, they make an exception.
We're getting quite excited because Sebastian Loeb never stops. Maybe once a year. And now he's done on the first event of this year. And that's good.
He went off in a very icy braking. It's terrible conditions now. I really hate this. I have been driving like my grandmother.
Loeb's crash leaves Gronholm leading the rally. Second fastest on the final stage puts Petter up to 7th overall. But the biggest shock of the day comes from a Monte Carlo rookie. Going with the safest tyre choice all day has put Chris Atkinson in 2nd place. He can't quite believe it himself.
It's not bad, Petter with a 15-17. That's right,
The 75-kilometre drive back to Monaco is officially part of the rally. It must be driven at normal road speeds, but there's a time limit. Loeb's Citroën is going to be late. But it's not all over yet. So-called Super Rally rules mean that if the car can be repaired, Loeb can take a 5-minute time penalty and rejoin the rally tomorrow.
Le rallye n'est pas fini, le championnat non plus, sûrement pas. C'est long, tout est possible, on peut remonter très haut. C'est un beau challenge qu'on s'est fixé. Bon, tout est possible.
Meanwhile, Subaru now have problems of their own. Petter stopped at the side of the road with a leak from his oil cooler. He and Phil have just 40 minutes to fix the leak and drive over 40 kilometres back to Monaco. For every minute they're late, they'll get a time penalty.
How long have we got to work on it? He's got a half an hour to work on it.
The team can't go out and help him. All they can do is apply their brains and their computers to the problem.
How can you bypass the pipes completely? What about at the bottom? What can you do? They come from the bottom sandwich plate. What can you do? Maybe you can join the two pipes at the top with the ALS pipe, like the Jubilee clip. You will lose it. Your cooler won't go straight to the block. No.
Emergency surgery seems possible.
Can do this. You can do it or not? It's access is off. See what he's doing. No, he wants to see what he's doing.
Petter and Phil are instructed how to use a piece of piping to bypass the leaking oil cooler.
Once you've got that clip on, you need to make sure those hoses are not going to hit you.
It's a risky operation. If the emergency bypass doesn't work, the engine could drain of oil and be permanently damaged. But it's a risk that David would rather take than recovery and a 5-minute penalty.
Mind yourself, because it could blow oil.
There's now less than half an hour to get back to Monaco.
Good rev. Don't worry. Well, there's no point then. He might as well retire. Because if he doesn't drive at a good speed, he's not going to get back in time.
David needs Petter to drive flat out to make it back on time.
What's the average in this to make it?
47 kilometres.
Come on. We just need to not wreck the engine. Rally is 5 minutes, wrecking the engine.
I know.
Petter must keep one eye on the road and the other on his oil pressure.
Then he's just got to drive on the oil light. The minute the oil light comes on, just forget it. because we don't want to damage the engine. So it still gets points.
No, it's okay, it's fine.
So?
I'll speak to him Monday.
Now the pipe's gone off.
Petter's lost oil pressure and stopped again.
It hasn't got any oil pressure. The engine stopped on its own.
They've used all their spare oil, so there's no point in trying to fix the car again. It will have to be recovered.
Well, you tried your best. That's
Give me a car and then we'll get you dinner when you're back.
Okay. Somebody there shortly for you. See you in a bit.
Now Petter and Phil will have to take a penalty. Maybe worse.
There's obviously a risk that that's done some damage to the engine. We won't know till we get the car back here, which will be another hour or so.
If it needs an engine replacement, which we're not allowed to do within the regulations, then we'll have to retire the car, and that's the end of Petter's rally.
2 hours later, Petter's car is finally back at the service park. Now the team can see for themselves what went wrong. The oil cooler has a crack where the oil leaked.
It went in between one of the rows.
It looks like a straightforward oil leak. We just have to hope that it's not done any damage to the engine.
The cooler can be replaced. It's going to be much harder to work out if the engine has sustained damage because the rules don't allow it to be opened up.
We can look inside the engine through the spark plug hole and see there's no problem in the top there. We can also poke around and look around from the bottom end. We can't get into the engine, so we can't check things like bearings and so on, but we can refill the engine with oil, change the oil filter and everything, start it up and see if all the oil pressure data looks normal, and if it is, we've got a good chance of carrying on.
It's an agonising wait for Petter and his engineer.
I will get the phone call from the team later, and I think they have to work very hard with the car to see what they can do anyway, but hopefully they can sort it out, but I think it's maybe a little bit difficult again.
Eventually, the diagnosis is announced.
The engine's completely seized, so we can't change the engine. You can't pull it apart to have a look or do anything, so no, that's the end of the rally for that car. We'll retire the car. We won't be continuing.
Okay.
So I send the paperwork down to the control.
Okay.
It's a depressing end to a roller coaster first day of the season. After a massive push to get the new car ready, 2 risky decisions.
He's got to move it in the next 5 minutes to stay in the rally.
And 2 bits of bad luck have spoiled the Monte Carlo party for Subaru. It's the worst possible start to their Big Stars World Championship campaign. And Petter's 4th Monte Carlo retirement.
I can't believe it. Every year.
The Subaru team are no strangers to just how cruel motorsport can be. But they know how to bounce back. Petter's misfortune has created a wonderful opportunity for the team's 2 young drivers. For the rest of this rally, these guys have a rare chance to steal the limelight and maybe secure themselves a future in the team. Chris is David's current favourite. He's been guaranteed a drive in 11 rallies this season. And second place after day 1 has hugely impressed the boss. Stefan, with just 4 rallies this season, has got his work cut out to get hired for next year ahead of Chris. This morning they face a much tougher challenge than yesterday. Warmer temperatures means that slick tyres are the only competitive option. But there's still plenty of ice around.
Every corner you go around, you go out of the sunshine, the grip changes dramatically.
Stefan had a taste of this on Friday morning, so he's got an opportunity to make up time on his teammate, who's very much a slick tyres on ice virgin.
Long 5 left plus, go 100.
Chris is enjoying the challenge, but the team isn't enjoying his times. In one stage, he's already slipped to 4th place.
Well, that's the first time I've been on a slick on ice ever, so still learning, but the time wasn't bad.
This is Stefan's chance to take over his favourite son. He finds his groove. His times are even a match for rally leader Gronholm. Over 3 stages, he's over a minute faster than his teammate. Back at service, Stefan's star performance has won favour with the team's inner circle. He's made it a very positive morning for the new car, and David even sniffs a possible podium finish.
You were like 5 seconds faster than most of the guys.
Very good.
This afternoon, the Monte Carlo Ice Skating Challenge will reach its climax. Still on slicks, the drivers must face the snowbound summit of the famous Col de Turini. The fans flock here every year to witness the inevitable carnage.
Keep left of a crest, double caution, snow early.
Last year, the Col's list of high-profile victims included both Petter
Extra slippy ice.
and Marcus Gronholm. So David's determined that his new favourite road warrior is mentally prepared for the challenge.
To the top, yeah. The way you drove yesterday on the ice was perfect. Oh, no, but still, the philosophy is the same. Slow, careful, in slowly, come out on the right line. You know what that means?
It's clear. It's snow.
No, clear.
Okay.
No snow until the top.
With Petter on the sidelines, Stefan's getting a taste of what it's like to be a top team's #1 driver.
Petter knows very well.
Pressure. Stefan's on a roll, 16 seconds faster than Chris on stage 10, and takes his place overall. But he's no longer satisfied with just beating his teammate. He's setting his sights much higher.
It's difficult to go very fast, and I will try to push more on the next one. We will see.
Stefan starts the ascent to the Col de Turini, determined to prove he can drive like a champion. It's a long climb to the 1,600-metre summit. Then the fun begins. These conditions can really reduce world champions to granny pace. And make fools out of others. Loeb's teammate, Xavier Pons, entertains the crowds with a whole series of spins.
¿Qué pasa, tío?
Chris is cautious, determined to keep it on the road, but he's tortuously slow. Stefan's driving like an old pro. Fast on the ice, fast on the snow, he's third fastest on the stage and up to 5th overall. Now he's really put his teammate in his place, beating Chris by 1 minute and 30 seconds on that final stage. Being cautious on your Monte Carlo debut is fine, but dropping from 2nd to 6th in one day is not doing Chris's reputation or his confidence any favours.
And this afternoon we're just too cautious on the training stage. Everyone was warning about how tricky it was, and then you just it's easy to be too cautious and just throw away time.
Sunday morning brings an opportunity for Chris to fight back. Colder stages means a return to winter tyres. Chris can get his confidence back and prove that he too has what it takes. He beat Stefan by 16 seconds on the first stage.
5 right opens for the...
It's game on. On the final day of the Monte Carlo Rally, Subaru team rivals Chris and Stefan are fighting for their World Rally futures.
30.
Pushing each other faster and faster through the morning's last two stages. It's good news for the team. This duel is making Subaru look good.
4-8 minus off camber.
Back at service, David's seen enough. The afternoon's final three stages are his last chance to play the tyre choice game. Chris gets to stay on winter tyres. But David has a new challenge for Stefan.
You could just take WX no stud, but it doesn't seem much point.
There is a lot of tarmac car, basically. No.
If you wanted to do something interesting, you go on it.
Kevin, so you're the man. What do you say?
I mean, on Earth 3.
Normally you're alright, so...
He's done his maths and worked out that with intermediate tyres, there's still a slim chance of Stefan taking 4th or even 3rd place, but it's going to be very risky.
Very difficult. In places it will be very difficult. The gamble with that, of course, is we stand to gain in the dry sections something like a minute and a half. Yeah? But on the icy sections, we will lose something, normally we'd say 10 seconds per kilometre. So overall, the balance looks faster to go on the intermediate tyre. But you gain those 20 seconds at quite a high level of risk.
Stefan can see pain, but not too much gain.
But I don't want to lose a place.
No, you won't lose a place. You'll lose everything or nothing. That's what I'm saying to you. From a performance point of view...
It's a tricky dilemma. Stefan needs to be sure he wins his battle with Chris.
It's just a slush you have to watch out for.
But he also needs to prove to the boss that he can be a team player.
Okay, you happy with that?
I don't want to be 6 or 7.
No.
Joking.
Team player it is. Stefan's car is fitted with intermediates. It's a very tense, icy stage 16 for Stefan. He needs to bide his time here and not throw away his weekend's work. He loses 25 seconds to Chris, but he's safely through. Now Stefan has to shine. And he delivers. Here's a man fighting for his place in the team and giving it his all. Second fastest on the stage, he makes back all the time. And on the final run through the Col de Turini, he takes another 20 seconds from his teammate.
Just want to say well done, boys, and thank you very much.
Hello.
And some valuable points there, so we look forward to see you both in service. Over.
It's not enough to take 4th place, but Stefan's delivered exactly what was required. He's made his boss look smart.
It's worked out pretty much as we predicted. The calculations of time gain, time loss, and so on through the stage were just about spot on.
Meanwhile, on the final stage, world champion Sebastian Loeb completes an amazing recovery to 2nd place. Despite that 5-minute penalty, finishing only a minute behind Gronholm. Ford celebrate a victory for their new driver on his maiden run. Chris has brought his car safely home in 6th. He threw away his 2nd place, but it's still a good result on his Monte Carlo debut. In 5th, Stefan's beaten Chris here and proved he's a team player. But has he done enough? He now has just 3 more rallies this year to prove to the team that he, and not the young Australian, should be their number 2. By the end of the season, one of these drivers will be hired, the other fired. But from tomorrow, that will be top of David's priority list.
There's that mixed feeling of, pleased for these 2 guys what they've done and slightly frustrated that Petter didn't get the chance to show what he could do.
In just 10 days' time, the team face a very different challenge. The very cold and very fast Rally of Sweden. David needs Petter to get on a charge. Find out just how fast their new car really is and get his World Championship campaign back on track. beautiful winter's day in the forests. The perfect chance for a picnic, Swedish style. Welcome to the craziest rally challenge on Earth. Freezing temperatures, snowdrifts, narrow forest roads, slippery ice. And yet this is one of the fastest events in the World Rally Championship. It's the best and worst of everything. This is rally driving heaven and hell. But despite a bad start to the season, one top team is coming here brimming with confidence. In their workshops in Oxfordshire, England, the men and women of the Subaru World Rally team are rebuilding their cars and their hopes. At the first rally of the season, in Monte Carlo, the team launched a new €600,000 World Rally car in a bid for championship glory this year. But star driver Petter Solberg was forced to retire at the end of the first day with engine failure.
Very disappointed, you know. I was looking forward to this rally just to get some points and so we can start on pushing very hard for Sweden rally.
Now the team had just 1 week to fix the problem and rebuild the car in time for Sweden. But team boss David Lapworth specialises in looking on the bright side.
You can't let a disappointing start to the season get on top of it. I mean, a zero in any rally is the same. It doesn't matter. When you add the points up at the end of the year, it doesn't matter what order they came in.
David's got another 15 rallies to prove his point, but first he's got to fix that car. So how do you fix a major design flaw with a rally car in just 1 week? Well, it helps if you have the facilities of one of Britain's largest and most successful motorsports companies at your disposal. ProDrive has been running the Subaru World Rally team for 17 years, with David Lapworth at the helm. David's boys can redesign, build and test almost any component in a fraction of the time it would take a manufacturer.
It's like comparing the SAS with the regular army. We have to cut a few corners because we're in competition with somebody down the road. And if we waited until we'd been through a 3-year development cycle, somebody up at Ford or across at Citroën would have introduced their new car a year earlier, and we'd be too slow.
David's crack troops are used to reacting fast. While he was still in Monte Carlo, they swung into action and already have a new part ready for inspection.
The problem, as it manifested itself on the rally, was a tiny hairline crack here in the end tank, which is where the oil was leaking from. So we've made some new parts. We've made a new end tank that goes on the end of the oil cooler there, which is machined from solid, is in better material and thicker material, and it's reinforced inside. That should eliminate the risk that in the same circumstances that we would have the same failure.
Job done? Things are rarely that straightforward in motorsport. David's been called into an emergency meeting with his chief designer, Ed Wood, who has bad news.
An internal rib as well.
It seems they fixed the wrong component.
Inside the tank we've introduced a rib across the...
Ed now thinks the real cause of the problem was in the pump that circulates the oil around the whole system.
We took it at face value and thought, oh, we've got a problem with the oil cooler design, so we fixed the oil cooler design. We didn't spot that actually it was an effect, not a cause.
Now they've got a real challenge. Just 1 day to design, test, build and install some brand new oil pump valves. Petter's car may be worth over €600,000, but it was just one of these €1 valves that brought him to a standstill. Amazingly, less than 12 hours later, the new valves are ready and installed. So far, David's optimism has been vindicated. His army's back on the move. Now there's just a small matter of relaunching their season with a repeat of last year's victory in Sweden. The Swedish rally takes place in the forests and frozen farmlands in the south of the country. Based around the town of Hagfors, the 3-day event includes 19 timed stages totaling 349 competitive kilometres. These narrow tracks covered in snow and ice have long straight sections, combining almost zero grip with breathtakingly fast speeds. The drivers must also complete 1,100 kilometres of road sections between the stages and the service park just outside Hagfors. But before you can start doing that, you need to do a lot of this.
Minus half long, tightens a little bit and then opens.
On a freezing January morning, the world's top drivers collect at this remote service station. Just 300 kilometres from Oslo, this is Petter's home rally, and a few die-hard fans are here already.
Good luck, Doug.
But Recce Day isn't the driver's day. Ignored by the fans and cameras are the co-drivers. The work they do over the next 2 days can mean the difference between winning and losing the rally. Petter's co-driver is Welshman Phil Mills. He's cautious, meticulous, and keeps his head whatever happens. It seems that opposites attract. That's important when you spend so much time together.
Like last year, for instance, 220 days we spent on the road.
Phil Mills, he is my wife in the rally car. No sex.
210 of those days was inside the car together, you know, we're 6 inches apart inside the car. There's a lot going on there. It gets quite stressful sometimes. It's very tiring. So unless we got on, it just wouldn't work. And, you know, some relationships in the past have turned sour.
But taking the pain is usually considered part of the job.
Sometimes you have to understand that if the driver gets upset, whether he's right or wrong, you have to take it. Because the driver should only concentrate on driving in the car. He should not think about anything else.
Liking each other helps too.
We've got the same sense of humour. We like the same things in life. We've got a passion for old cars and all these sort of silly things that make relationships get on, you know. So, yeah, it's a very successful relationship.
On the recce, each stage may be driven through slowly twice. On the first pass, Phil takes down detailed notes of every section of road, every bump and every obstacle.
Just 6 left.
On the second, he checks them back with Petter. On the rally at full speed, Petter will be driving blind, relying on 100% accurate notes so as not to crash. So when his day ends, Phil's is far from over.
Well, here we got the notes from last year. Our system, very simple. It's a number system, 1 to 6, 1 being a slow corner and 6 being a very fast corner. And if you imagine the numbers as gears, the 5 right plus, which would be a 5th gear right-hand corner accelerating on full throttle, 50 metres to a flat 6 left plus over crest. So that's the fastest corner you'll ever have, absolutely flat out in 6 gear over a left-hand crest.
Phil has about a page of his weird hieroglyphics per kilometre to prepare, and there's over 300 left to go.
This is the side of the sport that nobody sees, I suppose. To be honest with you, I think the actual day of the event is actually the easy bit for the co-driver.
It's 6:30 a.m. and the service park is already humming with activity. Field Marshal Lapworth is doing his rounds. His General Paul Howarth is rallying the troops.
Just remind the strategy. Petter obviously is one of his target events. Yeah. All we've got to do in our area is keep on the case doing our job. That's how good teams work. Any questions for me?
Shakedown is a full-throttle dress rehearsal for the main event, which starts tomorrow. A chance for everyone to get up to speed. The drivers to get a feel for the conditions, the engineers to fine-tune the handling of the cars, and the army of mechanics to do what they do best, work fast under pressure. Each car has its own squadron of 8 mechanics. John McLean is the captain of the team working with Petter's car, car number 5. Car number 6 is driven by young Australian Chris Atkinson and is looked after by Simon Baker. Both captains will be hoping for a quiet event. Rebuilding cars when your fingers are about to drop off with frostbite ain't much fun. Days on from Monte Carlo, it's time for David and his team to set the record straight. Time to prove their €600,000 car can be a rally winner. Petter can finally put his foot down, but so can his rivals. Gronholm, Loeb. 118 of the world's top drivers from 24 countries. And they all speak one language. Rally.
6, 7 right, 50. 8 right on crest, continues along, and then 8 left open.
100, oikein eri pyöreä suppu.
Tightly given 40, keep left of a long crest, and line into neat 6 right minus half long right at 5.
Ja oikein täys.
Keep middle of a jump, 26 right, extra long, tightly made, open to the crest, 120.
Mun mielestä tää tuntuu paremmalta tää jälki.
Back at service, David waits for the verdict from his star driver. The smile says it all.
Stop there then. It's just like a dream, and I'm not you know.
In an instant, Subaru's season is back on track. But with over 3 hours of shakedown to go, the engineers want more.
We're certainly not too far away now. We're bang on target, and we hope that just a small step will get us to you know, where we need to be.
They've got the speed. Now the engineers want their 2 drivers to feel complete confidence in their cars.
Confidence is so important to commit to the very long, fast corners. It is a key to winning the Swedish rallies, high-speed confidence.
With their times improving run by run, both drivers clearly believe in the car.
Both drivers have come back with a smile on their faces and they said, yeah, it feels really good. The main worry now is keeping it on the road and turning the enthusiasm into a win.
Petter's on a high, he loves his car, he loves his job. And the fans, they love Petter. It's official, the Swedish rally has begun. It's party time as thousands of Swedish fans, the media and a global TV audience welcome the home favourites. If all goes to plan, Petter and Phil will be back here on Sunday night to get their mitts on some silverware. But that's a big if. Friday morning, just before sunrise. Spirits are high. Today, the teams will contest the first 6 stages of the rally. The mechanics get 10 minutes to prepare the cars. And there's always a last-minute decision, the tyre choice. Here in Sweden, they use narrow snow tyres with steel studs.
In these conditions, the tyre choice is only really about the length of the stud. And we've got 7mm and 8mm studs.
The studs are designed to bite through the snow and grip the hard ice beneath. In theory, the 8mm studs are better when there's loose snow on the ground and the shorter 7mm for clean, hard ice. According to weather reports, this morning's stages have a mixture of both.
The stages are mixed, and it's almost a toss of the coin. It's more about driver psychology and what gives him the right feeling. And so in both drivers, we've gone for the one that, the longer stud, which gives them more confidence.
The top 15 drivers will start the rally in the order they finished at Monte Carlo. So, because he retired there, Petter's had an extra half an hour in bed. This morning's 2 stages are 66 kilometres to the north. Fast stages with some spectacular jumps. The drivers start 2 minutes apart, and first up is Monte Carlo winner, Marcus Grönholm. Second in line is world champion, Sebastian Loeb. In the control room, the team monitor every car's progress using a GPS system. Petter and Phil get a slight advantage because the team can send them their rivals' times, so they know how hard to push.
Van Holm at 25.7, 25.7, Loeb at 28.5, 28.5, Stoll at 36.9 at 36.9.
Okay, good luck, Philip. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
With a perfect car and a tank full of confidence, Petter engages, makes your mummy pick. And it's paying off. He's matching Grönholm's times as he approaches the big jumps.
5 left, Martin's only 4 over crest. Martin's 4 over crest repeated. 100.
How?
Back. What's happened?
Just pay attention.
Supervision, Phil, we're going slowly with a broken drive shaft.
Okay, Phil. Engineer, broken drive shaft.
Just 6 kilometres in, and David's world has been turned inside out.
Yeah, something happened, didn't it?
A broken drive shaft isn't terminal, but it's very serious.
2 left minus of a crest.
As a 4-wheel drive car, the Impreza has 4 drive shafts, transferring power from the engine to the wheels. Without 1 drive shaft, the car only has 2-wheel drive, losing traction, losing acceleration. And Petter must fight to lose as little time as possible.
130.
I can't believe that this is not right, huh?
Just isn't happening.
This is not fair.
Just isn't happening, is it? We kept it to under a minute anyway.
Without seeing the car, David and his team must now try and work out exactly what has happened and why.
Which end's broken? Front or rear?
Guys, how did it happen? Did you feel anything happen before? Out of a corner? Okay, landing.
Petter now has another stage to complete before returning to the service area.
I think time he gets back here, we're going to have dropped 2 minutes plus, which is...
The team prepare for service. They only get 30 minutes, and they can't just replace the drive shaft, they must diagnose exactly why it failed. Subaru's Director of Engineering, Steve Farrell, is waiting to get a look at the offending part.
This is a drive shaft, and obviously with a 4-wheel drive car that drives all 4 wheels, we have 4 of these, each corner, that basically transmits the engine torque from the transmission, which is out to the wheel, and ultimately to the ground.
Put 2 new drive shafts on the back of the car. You are? Yeah.
There's a cage in here, and with 6 balls that do the driving, and it came back without all the internals. The cage had completely exploded inside.
But with the evidence spread halfway across Sweden, it's difficult for Steve to find the cause of the failure.
Clearly, the cage just doesn't explode because it wants to, and we stripped it to try to see if there was anything obviously wrong, but this one really is still a mystery.
But Steve's got to do something.
We can't really send a car back out having had a problem and say we have done absolutely nothing about it.
Steve suspects the problem may lie in the length of the drive shafts, so he's ordered some changes to the geometry of the suspension, designed to allow them more movement.
There you go, good 20 minutes.
Petter's clock is counting down. With the work still not completed, the pressure's beginning to show.
Vincent, get your ass out here, mate. We've got 5 minutes and you want to know what you want to do. Come and run and talk to me.
Okay, cut if you can. Unplug that cord there, Shaq.
Time's up and Petter's back in the car. The next two stages are a repeat of stages 1 and 2, so Petter now faces the same jump that broke his drive shaft. It's bite your nails off time for Steve Farrell. After losing over 3 minutes thanks to his broken drive shaft, Petter Solberg is now on the comeback trail. It's not often that a World Rally Champion stalls at the lights. It's another 7 seconds lost.
20, 2 left minus, tightens, 2 left minus, repeated, tightens, 1 tightens. Over crest.
But the good news is a safe passage through Frederiksberg's big jumps. Drive shafts intact. Petter is flying. But he needs his rivals to slip up for him to catch them. Ford's Marcus Gronholm immediately obliges with a schoolboy error. A few seconds lost, but an expert recovery. Meanwhile, Subaru number 2, Chris Atkinson, has had a good morning. He's in 5th place and finds himself in the limelight as Subaru's leading driver, but not for long. It's the same spot as Gronholm, but this time the tree comes off best.
He's brought the steering rack, he's dropped some time in there, he's about 5 seconds a kilometre against everybody else, but he's still got to do the next stage now with no power steering, which is going to be quite tough. It's quite twisty in sections and narrow, so he'll drop a lot more time in there as well.
Cornering becomes tough, hairpins impossible. Chris loses 3 minutes and drops to 27th place.
We were trying to aim for 5th overall. It was looking like we were going to achieve that quite easily, similar to the pace in Monte Carlo, and just been a big disappointment.
David's reeling from this morning's double whammy. Morale is sinking, and hearing the leader's stage times really isn't helping.
9. Brad Stromberg, 10:40.8.
After a bad start to the Swedish rally, Subaru are preparing for what will be another frantic service.
In all probability, changing the front steering cross member, front drive shaft, steering rack, steering pump, steering cooler, filter.
So about 4 days' work for your high street garage in 30 minutes. But while Subaru's crack team get down to it, David is dealing with an even more serious problem. A few kilometres away, another car is being repaired. Petter and Phil have finished the stage but haven't made it back to service. Petter reported an oil pressure warning from his gearbox, and David made a quick decision to put it into safe mode to avoid a major breakdown. But that switched off the automatic gearbox, so now Petter has to find a gear the hard way, with a screwdriver. And they're against the clock, because if they check in late for service, they'll get a time penalty. They arrive back 13 minutes late and get a 2-minute 10-second penalty. Now David's going to really struggle to keep up his brave face.
He did a great job to do something to get the car going again, and to get here at all, he nearly had to retire on the spot.
Truth is, both Subaru cars are now fighting for survival. Out at the front, Gronholm and Loeb are fighting for the lead, pushing hard. Despite no major mistakes or reliability problems, both Subaru cars are left far down the field and over 5 minutes behind by the end of what has been an extraordinary day.
To finish the first day like this is not what we had in mind. You know, yesterday after the shakedown, we thought that, you know, we had a good chance of being in front.
The boys on the ground, you know, they're working their hardest, doing the job right, but it just is not coming together.
We just seem to have all our bad luck seem to happen in literally a group of stages. They just seem to be one thing after another.
But David must now face facts. He simply can't blame bad luck.
You can talk about bad luck, or you can put it in any way you want. At the end of the day, we've got to come, we've got to be right on the day, and we've got to deliver.
You have to go back and look at where the mistakes were made, whether they were, design issues or quality control issues or, human error or whatever.
All roads lead to Rome, to the basic design of the car.
There's a day and a half to go. Somehow David must keep his team and his cars together and salvage a result from this Swedish nightmare.
-12, varying to -13.
It's hours before dawn, well below freezing, but this Subaru man is already hard at work. Weatherman Richard Card experiences each rally in a very different way to the rest of his teammates.
There's always a variant between air and ground. Once the sun comes up, the air temperature will drop. It will go even colder, it will probably drop to -20.
Overnight, the temperature has dropped by over 10 degrees.
Good morning, Kent.
Morning, Rich.
It's definitely cold here.
Okay, yeah.
Of -17.
Yeah, -17, yeah.
I've got a clear sky, not a cloud in the sky. There's no breeze. I've walked the stage and everything's compact ice. It's absolutely rock solid.
Okay. I'll come back to you in 15 minutes then.
We'll do a photo in about half an hour so we can show them, obviously back in the service park, what the stage is like.
The frozen mechanics wait for David and the engineers to give them their orders.
What you can do in this situation is make sure you get the maximum benefit of what's left. And what we've tried to do is keep the cars going, keep the drivers motivated, and trying to set some fast stage times and so on.
Going for fast stage times is plenty of motivation for Petter. He's rested, rejuvenated, and ready to blow away those blues.
Nee,
It's 8 AM and Petter's fans are out in force. After more than 3 hours waiting in the snow, Cardi's job is about to get a lot more exciting.
Yeah, I'm going to try and send you a photo if I can, Ken, over.
With this stage run twice today, the engineers have asked for up-to-the-minute photos of the conditions that the drivers can expect later. And Cardi's taking them, literally.
Starting to rot it is. Yeah, where the line is, it's definitely rotting up.
Yeah, it's cold, huh?
Yeah, it is.
The World Rally Champion will be the driver with the most points at the end of the season. 10 points are awarded for a win, down to 1 point for 8th place. With 16 rallies in the season, a single point could decide the title, so every place Petter can claw back is precious. And the plan seems to be working. He posts the 3rd fastest time for this stage.
It's about time to get a little bit into the rhythm, but not so bad.
Nice. How's the heater working?
They're a bit cold. It's -18 on the road section, and they need some more woolly scarves and mittens, I think.
Oikein täys, saattaa vasen eri miinussumppu ja oikea eri ahdas.
2 stages in and no reliability problems for Subaru. But Petter's going to have to up his pace to catch the leaders. So David's thinking about changing his gearbox.
Yeah, half decent time, that. So I think you just get faster and faster if you would.
Yeah. He said it's the right direction.
Because we'll get the gearbox in instead.
But since each car is only allowed 2 per rally, this must be the gearbox that was taken out of the car having failed yesterday. David now makes an extraordinary confession.
The one that's going back in, yeah, it's only a tiny problem with the valve. In fact, with the benefit of hindsight, which is a great thing, we overreacted. We misread some of the information that was coming back, some of the data, overreacted, operated a sort of a fail-safe mode that we didn't need to. If Petter had switched all the fail-safes back off again and tried again, the gearbox would have worked, you know, more than adequately to drive back down the road section and come in without any penalties.
Petter's original gearbox may have slightly better settings for today's conditions, but David obviously hasn't heard the expression, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just hope he's told Petter.
It's good. Yeah, the car is very good straight away. Very, like it should be, you know, very good.
He was aware of that plan, wasn't he, at the beginning of the day? Yeah. So it's a bit of a risk, but
At €100,000 a pop, the gearbox is the most expensive component of the car. It can change gear in 10 milliseconds. That's 50 times faster than a typical road car. And important when a rally driver changes gear over 1,000 times a day. It also contains the front and centre differentials, and the ones in this gearbox are optimised for the hard ice on today's stages. So with this one back in the car, Petter should be even faster than this morning. And he is. He's back in rally heaven. His blistering pace in the next two stages moves him closer to a point-scoring finish.
Open 18. 6 left plus into 6 right
But on the road section between stages, it's David's worst nightmare. Petter again reports that the pressure in the hydraulic gear system is falling.
Is there definitely no pressure there because sometimes the coolant fails?
It's the same problem as yesterday. The gearbox really is broken after all. David's gamble for more speed has fallen flat on its face.
Can you do the whole stage in 4th gear?
Like that. Go back to 4th, go down to 3rd as he approaches the stage.
Yeah.
Once he's moving on the stage, stick it up into 4th, and then I would suggest he leaves it.
Petter is told to continue onto the stage, but to stay in 4th gear to avoid a complete gearbox failure. As Petter starts the stage, David and the team watch and hope.
20 seconds. 4 seconds he lost off the start line. He's losing very little now. Yeah. He's actually gaining there.
Petter gets through the stage, but he's lost another 55 seconds. But he's not the only driver having trouble. The Swedish rally is taking its toll. The carnage means Petter's actually moved up to 14th place. Petter seems to have come through the pain and out the other side. But others aren't laughing. Richard Taylor is the team's managing director. Technically David Lapworth's boss, he normally just observes during rallies, but it's reached the point where he feels he has to get involved.
I think from both perspectives it needs to be just made to work. So they can go to Mexico with a reasonable degree of belief.
Richard wants the focus back on reliability. With 14 rallies still to go, he needs to restore his star driver's faith in his car and in his team.
Okay.
Easier said than done. Petter's safely through stage 12, but his Swedish nightmare's far from over. On the last stage of the day, a spectator special in front of thousands of his adoring fans, Petter buries his car in a snowbank. One that just happens to contain a concrete post, leaving him limping to the end of the stage.
Petter Solberg has big problems just after 30 meters of this stage.
Humiliation for Petter. And yet more hard work for the team. They've been at it 13 hours already. But now Petter's car needs new front bodywork, a new steering rack, uprights and parts of the suspension. while Chris's team are replacing his gearbox, clutch and differential. That's all on top of a regular service. It may have been one of the worst days of rallying Lapworth's ever seen, but he's still got his loyal troops behind him.
At the moment, we're just going by his command and not questioning it.
Maybe even Rally's great optimist will soon have to admit defeat.
Seems to be one of those weekends.
The snow begins to fall. Tomorrow, Sweden has one more nasty trick for Subaru in store. Nine hours later, and it's straight back to work. Heavy snowfall overnight means this morning's 3 stages will be quite different from yesterday. And Subaru will be hit the worst.
What's it like in the car, the temperature?
No, it's very good.
It's okay?
Yeah.
With the top 15 cars running in reverse order, Petter and Chris will be second and third on the road, ploughing the fresh snow for the cars that follow behind.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, 6 left, 6 right, 100.
Now it's going to take some real genius for Petter to get into the points. So much snow is being thrown onto the car that Petter can hardly see the road.
I got so much snow on the windscreen so I couldn't see anything from the start there.
The next stage is clearer. Petter is third fastest and gaining fast on the men in front of him.
Well, we were fastest on that split, look. They're both going quite well. We gain a little bit, I think, where it's icy, and we lose a little bit where it's snowy. And overall, it looks very close. There's some splits we're faster than Sebastian and Marcus, which is nice to see.
On stage 16, Petter brakes heavily into a corner and stalls the engine.
5 right back.
He recovers quickly.
120.
But the joys of racing on Sweden's snow and ice are wearing thin.
So then snow on the back as well. Yeah. Look at that, eh?
On the front you can't see, and on the back you get extra.
It's like a... Yeah, we don't want it.
The front of the car shows signs of damage, but the real problem is the huge amount of snow and ice that's being thrown up onto the car. It's not just affecting visibility, the sheer weight of it is causing problems with the handling.
I guess they're going to weigh that snow. That yesterday, the people running first on the road weren't really disadvantaged at all. Today, when it snowed overnight, there is a clear disadvantage.
I mean, last night we weighed Chris's car and there was over 20 kilos of ice on it as it went out, so obviously I think we'll put a few more kilos here. Not the best position to be on the road.
So David's got yet another problem to deal with. Up until now, there's been one consolation for all the unreliability. When working, it's been a very fast car. Being slow as well may be too much for Petter to bear. There's just 3 stages to go. Petter's in 13th place. All he wants now is a fast car for the run to the finish. But it may be too much to ask.
The car is a little bit too difficult to drive.
And is that from the beginning, or is that as the stages go on?
Of course, the car is getting more difficult than because of the on this day.
Yeah. You feel the car's a bit heavy and lazy.
Lots of questions, but David is running out of answers.
They call it character building, don't they? The things that have gone wrong have taken us really by surprise. Yeah, we need to get to the bottom of why. I mean, some of them we still don't understand exactly why they've happened.
And it's not over yet. John McClane can't start the car. The fault is a loose wire at the back of the starter motor, and John gets Petter back out on time by the skin of his teeth. He's pushing hard, but Petter still can't match rally leader Gronholm's pace. Sixth fastest leaves him still in unlucky 13th place.
No.
It's the start of the penultimate stage of the Swedish rally.
Hey, go out, jump on the...
Car's stuck on the start line and the starter button won't work.
It stalled, did it?
Charles to Phil.
Was that the same as the stall on day one?
Can we open the bonnet now?
No. It's absolutely dead. There's nothing on the button at all.
Get Petter to reset the ECU, and can you go under the bonnet and check the small wire is on the back of the starter motor, please?
Negative, we're on the start line.
Okay, just reset the ECUs, give that a try, please.
Try it now.
Nope.
Starter wire. Just pressing it, there's nothing to starter wire.
Try that as well. It's absolutely dead.
Starter wire.
Can they do that? They can get
They
pushed.
get pushed, he has to get pushed.
I can't believe it, you know, and now it's enough.
Have they pushed you off?
Negative.
He's got to get pushed off, that's all he can do, isn't it?
The car pushing it now with the marshals.
When you think it can't get any worse, sometimes it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's moving anyway. Yeah, he's moving now.
It's cost him 8 minutes, sort of getting the car pushed off the side of the road and then reconnecting the wire.
Petter finally gets on the move, unaware of the consequences of his start line woes.
There is a obscure rule that if you don't clear the start line within 20 seconds of the start signal being given, you're excluded. Which is it's a very what's the word? Seems a very disproportionate penalty.
With the World Rally jury looking at the evidence, Petter just keeps on going. Having come so far, he's determined to make it to the finish. But it's all in vain.
The outcome is just exclusion, and really it's the icing on the cake of a weekend from hell, really.
It's supposed to be the worst weekend of rallying you've ever had.
Incredible. Incredible.
Gronholm wins the rally for Ford, making it 2 in a row on his birthday. Reigning champ Loeb is second, and Subaru's number 2, Chris Atkinson, finishes 11th. Subaru came to Sweden determined to make up for their false start in Monte Carlo. This was a rally that Petter was expected to win. Instead, David and his team have been put through 7 circles of a frozen hell.
We've probably got collectively 150 years of motorsport experience in the office there, and none of us can remember a weekend like this.
What a weekend.
This weekend has been a real kick up the backside for me. I'm in charge of engineering, and engineering has let the team down.
It will not happen again. It can't happen.
David must now face up to reality, that there's something fundamentally wrong with this year's car. And he knows more than anyone, with so much at stake, his Subaru paymasters simply can't afford to let this go on. This time, a quick fix is not going to be good enough.
We should not accept this situation any longer. So we have a big meeting this time, very serious meeting several times. We have some plan to fix it.
There's still 14 rallies to go. On tarmac, gravel, hot, cold, high and low. Plenty of time to get their season back on track. But back at base, the Subaru team faces a big shake-up. Heads are about to roll. 2,000 meters above sea level, in the shadow of the Andes. Rocky lunar landscapes, roads fit for donkeys, and deep river crossings. Welcome to rally driver hell. The World Rally Championship is the most grueling test ever devised for two men and a car. And Argentina can be a real heartbreaker. So for a top team fighting for their first win of the season,
a lot of problems here.
The one thing they must have here is a reliable car.
We professionals or amateurs, that's you.
To succeed in rally, it's not enough to be the fastest. The hardest thing is to make it to the finish. Something that one of the top drivers in the world has found almost impossible to achieve this season. Norwegian Petter Solberg is the lead driver for the Subaru World Rally team. He won the World Championship in 2003, and to retake this title is his obsession.
For me, motorsport is 24 hours a day. They tell me to, you know, get a little bit real life, to take care of my family a little bit, but I can't.
Petter's year started brightly with the launch of a new car.
I'm ready to try to get back to championship. It's going to be a hell of a season.
But things turned sour when his engine failed on the first day. 2 weeks later in Sweden, a catalogue of engineering failures again stopped him reaching the finish.
It will not happen again. It can't happen.
Just 2 events into the 16 Rally World Championship, Petter was dropping far behind his rivals. Reigning world champion French heartthrob Sébastien Loeb was runner-up in the first 2 events. Winner of both was flying Finn Marcus Gronholm, one of the most experienced and emotional drivers in the competition. To catch them, Petter needs a competitive and reliable car.
Doesn't look good.
And the team needs a big shake-up. Back at team headquarters in the UK, it was time for major changes. With an annual budget of €50 million, failure isn't tolerated for long. First to leave was the rally car's chief designer, Ed Wood. But the second big change sent shockwaves through the rallying world. After 17 years and 6 World Championship trophies, team boss David Lapworth felt the time had come to step down.
It's got to a stage now where I think it's time to look at pastures new and maybe to try my hand at something else.
But losing his mentor wasn't the change that Petter had in mind.
I'm gonna miss him, that's for sure, and with the experience of 20 years with rallying, you know, you can't beat that.
There's no single replacement for Lapworth. Instead, a series of promotions and new hirings designed to shake up the way the whole team is run. First, Paul Howarth. 17 years ago, he started as an apprentice mechanic. Now he's a team boss, taking charge of all day-to-day operations. He manages with a military style that keeps the army of mechanics on their toes.
I'm fully on the case with what's gone on, why it's gone on, and I'm determined to get it sorted out. The car has to be reliable, it has to be fast. If the team on event don't have that vehicle to do that, then, you know, you could say, why are we turning up?
Paul now has just 4 weeks before Rally Argentina to get the team back on track and solve those reliability problems. Meanwhile, Petter is out testing with his new French engineer. He's about to find out if the big shake-up can get his season back on track. 4 weeks before the Argentina rally, the Subaru team is in Sardinia for a pre-event test. They spend 70 days and over €1 million testing each year. It's here they do the real hard work on both performance and reliability. Petter has just 3 days to prepare himself and his car for Argentina. In charge is Luis Moya. The team's sporting director is one of the most successful co-drivers of all time. He's responsible for team strategy, driver management and team morale.
But he is half committed in this guy. Yeah. If you ask him to take his trousers down, he will do it.
Luis has brought the team here to simulate the conditions they'll face in Argentina. Gravel comes in all shapes and sizes: loose, sandy gravel, hard, compact gravel and large, sharp rocks.
We're trying to find a hard surface, so to develop a tyre that lasts long in the stages, particularly in hot and warm conditions. I mean, the weather is not helping much today, but the surface is right.
To a rally driver, gravel is a similar challenge to a waterlogged road.
This gravel here, when you have water on the road, people understand what our planning means. You know, the tyre doesn't get to the ground. The tyre goes on top and you slide. And what you want is the tyre to go through and to clean the gravel so you can get through to the ground. That's the main thing, you know, so you get all the footprint you can on the ground.
The better the footprint is, the better the grip, the faster the car. The aim of this test is to choose the right tyres for Argentina and set up the car to get the best out of them. Petter straps in for another important day in the office with his co-driver, Phil Mills. With Phil's pace notes guiding him through the test stage, Petter can concentrate on driving fast and consistently.
We start to test and then Petter starts to feel the car in a road that is close and secure, and he goes up and down the road to try to fine-tune the car as best as he can.
Petter's main concern is how the car handles through high-speed corners. As he approaches a corner, he brakes. He has a split second to feel how much grip the car has. A sliding car loses speed, so he makes a series of adjustments: steering, braking and throttle, limiting the sideways movement to get round the corner as fast as possible, without crashing. Making the car do what Petter wants is the job of his engineer. And as part of the big shake-up, he's got a new one. Top French techie François Xavier de Maison, FX is quickly getting up to speed with Petter's way of working.
Petter is a very demanding driver, and he thinks, I think, 100% of his time about rallying and car and developing the car. So he can ring you in the middle of the night and say, "Oh, I have an idea. Oh, you should do that and this." So it's not easy now.
Argentina will be a tough engineering challenge for FX and Petter. To keep clear of those notorious car-wrecking rocks, they've decided to raise the car what is for them a massive 50 millimeters higher than a tarmac rally. Raising the ride height raises the car's centre of gravity, making it more difficult to handle. So it's very hard to find a fast setup. FX has two sources of information to work with. First, he has the data that's downloaded from sensors in the car.
What's the temperature now, Pierre?
It's moved on since Lewis's day.
But they can control everything. You know, when I started rallying, there was nothing like this. You know, there was everything was much more mechanical. There were no computers, not even mobile phones. But now, I wonder what will happen if one day you have to do a rally now with no computers and no mobile phones. I think we'll stay at home.
But FX's most reliable sensor in the car is Petter's backside.
If you move the seat in a car 3 millimeter or 2 millimeter, I feel it, because this is my job and it's the only thing I can do. You know, I'm good at. And this is how it is. You know, it's all about feeling sometimes.
Petter is never short of feedback and ideas.
Because if you clean up the front, maybe you have to go back on the rear, you know. That's
yeah. You have to have a good memory and ride very quickly, because otherwise you miss 50% of his feedback.
Driving more.
FX must also learn Petter's unique way of communicating. Sign language. And he's doing pretty well. But what Petter likes most about his new engineer is that he prioritises what Petter wants over the computer data.
You know, some of the engineer will will kill me if they hear that, but I think at the end of the day, an happy driver will not be able to do any fast times.
I'm not the easiest guy to work with, maybe, but I just want it right, and we have a lot of discussions and no bad feelings. That's how it is. We just want the car to go quicker.
You're actually fastest time by 0.3.
Much easier to drive, Phil.
Yeah, I can see.
It's going well. The team has chosen the tread, the rubber compounds and the construction of the tyres. Pirelli have their orders and will deliver 110 handmade tyres to Argentina in 4 weeks' time. Petter is confident he has a fast car. But going quicker hasn't been Subaru's problem this year. It's been their reliability. And Petter's last run of the day issues a stark reminder of how easily it could all go wrong. A rock has been thrown up underneath the car, striking the suspension.
Steering wheel TCA on the left side.
Well, it looks like we had a direct impact from the rock on a truck control arm. So that's basically snapped the front tube of the truck control arm, which you don't want, really.
This kind of damage during a rally would put Petter out of the running. And it's left the team wondering if they need to raise the car even higher and sacrifice yet more speed. But time has run out. Welcome to South America's cowboy country. Great on horseback, but a real car wrecker, especially at speeds topping 200 kilometers per hour. Rocks, ruts, jumps, rivers. There's 100 different ways to ruin your day. Rally Argentina can shake a car to bits. 68 cars, ranging from the top teams to local amateurs, will compete at 22 time stages. In total, 350 kilometres over 3.5 days of competition. Between stages, the drivers travel on public roads, where they must obey normal traffic laws. The road sections aren't competitive, but there is a maximum time allowed before incurring time penalties. Twice a day, the cars return to Cordoba for repairs. The team service park is based in the Ferriar exhibition halls on the outskirts of Cordoba. Here the team has its workshop areas and control centre. One room houses the engineers, where they'll monitor and assess the car's performance. In another, the management will make the strategic decisions. One of these men has special reason to be nervous. Director of Engineering, Steve Farrell, has been working hard on the reliability of the car and making sure it can withstand the challenges of Argentina.
It's rough, there are stones, there's dust. We've got to try to keep that out of the radiator, we've got to keep it out of the clutch, we've got to keep it out of the engine, and that's a big challenge. There are different air filters, there are different radiator grills, we've got to have scrapers that keep the rocks out of the calipers, and we have to have that balance of that car that's going to be fast but survivable over 350 kilometres. It's an awfully harsh environment, really.
And Steve knows these valleys hold another hazard. The infamous water splashes.
6th gear, it's flat out, 150 kilometres an hour or whatever. It's effectively like hitting a brick wall.
Two years ago, this brick wall stopped Subaru in their tracks.
When the car entered the water splash, you ended up with
a huge amount of water entering into the ducts here for the radiator. The state of the car afterwards looked like a bomb had gone off inside, really.
Boof. The whole front and everything just went really bad.
It blew the intercooler and the radiator backwards and the bonnet up.
Obviously, something was wrong.
Exiting the water splash, the car caught fire and was too seriously damaged to continue. When Subaru's second car suffered a similar fate, Steve knew it wasn't just a fluke.
We damaged both cars, actually, so it was design consistency, but it was a failure for both cars, which is obviously not finishing a rally is a disaster.
Back in the UK, the team had to find out exactly what had happened. So they hired a country estate and created their own water splash.
We actually got a digger in, got the ramp angles right, and there was a stream, and we dammed up the stream, and we spent days trying to replicate the problem.
The culprit was the Impreza's low aerodynamic shape. Designed to produce lots of downforce, through a river crossing it acted like a scoop. But Steve didn't want to change the car's shape. Losing downforce would slow it down.
Basically, we went into making a really much more rigid, strong, robust radiator package. Cables to hold everything in place. Cables further down here, and actually a third mounting point for the bonnet as well. I am as confident as one can be in any engineering world that we've licked the problem, and hopefully water splashes will go out of our vocabulary, and we won't talk about it again for years.
All the work the team has done to improve the reliability of the car is about to be put to the test. Shakedown's 4-hour practice session is the last chance to uncover any problems. And it's last chance for Petter the perfectionist to tweak his car's setup. Last year, Petter finished third behind second-placed Marcus Gronholm. This year, Marcus moved to Ford and a totally redesigned car. Last year's winner was Sebastian Loeb. This year, he's driving his Citroën Zara for the Belgian Kronos team. All three drivers know that conditions will be different this year. Last year's rally was run in the wet of the Argentinian winter. April here is drier, dustier and rockier. After their first runs, it's clear the conditions are even rougher than any of them expected.
Ça sera sûrement pas facile, donc voilà, les difficultés c'est ça, c'est les adversaires Groningen-Solberg et puis les pierres, et il faut vous rapporter à d'autres.
I don't really know how to approach with a Ford because it's the first time when I'm here.
But it's very loose and rocky. It's quite rough,
In fact, it's so rough that Subaru's engineers want to make a radical last-minute change.
To go a bit higher on the rate also.
After 3 days fine-tuning their setup in Sardinia, with just 6 hours to go before the rally starts, the engineers want to raise the ride height again.
Pull the toolkit out, Nick, chocolate. Yeah.
They simply can't afford to risk another retirement.
Buster, +3 in your ride height.
We decided to run the car another 10mm higher, front and rear.
Everybody's agreeing with you.
Petter reluctantly agrees and heads out for his final practice run. Defying all engineering logic, Petter posts his fastest time of the morning.
It's all about confidence. It may be wrong, but if I like it, that's enough.
But when it comes to the real thing, mind over matter may not be enough to defeat the great car wrecker. Each morning, the technicians have just 10 minutes to prepare the cars before the drivers head out to the stages. But the engineers are still debating the most important decision of the morning, the tyres. They have 4 rubber compounds to choose from, ranging from hard to soft to suit different conditions. This morning's stages are in the Sierra Chicos hills to the northwest of Cordoba. The stages are mainly soft and sandy, but a few hard, rocky sections make the tyre choice more difficult. And the weather is a big factor, which is why Subaru's had a weatherman out in the hills since dawn.
This morning when we got here, there was no cloud, so everything was looking nice and dry. Now it's changed to full cloud, light rain in the air. Hopefully by 8:30, when the stage runs, it still will be dry.
One set of tyres must last for all the morning stages, so Cardi's got to predict the conditions for the next 4 hours.
The main thing is that cloud, if it rains, it'll make the stages completely different to what we've anticipated.
Assuming the dry weather holds, the team has 2 choices: a fast choice or a safe choice. For Petter, it's an easy decision. He's going for the fast choice, a medium compound. But he'll have to use all his skill and experience to preserve the rubber on the hard, rocky sections.
We know exactly what the overall result we need to be for Petter, so we'll take a performance view on that, and then Petter takes his decision with the engineers and Pirelli, and then we're clear. It's fairly clean cut.
But when it comes to the team's number 2 driver, 26-year-old Australian Chris Atkinson, there's trouble. Paul and Lewis want Chris to play it safe, but the young hotshot's simply not having it.
No, I want to first class.
The new team bosses are facing their first mutiny. Chris Atkinson and his co-driver Glenn McNeil are competing in Rally Argentina for only the 2nd time. But they're in no mood to take things slow.
It's like in Sardinia last year, every time we put the harder tyre on, we went slower than we did.
They want the same medium compound tyre as Petter, the fastest option for the conditions.
I totally disagree.
But with just minutes to go before they have to leave for the stages, they're having to fight for it.
The 2-car team, his strategy is not about speed and all the rest of it at the minute. If they push up that hill, yeah, there will be nothing left of them tyres.
For new team bosses Paul and Lewis, Chris's priority is to gain experience, going for a solid, reliable finish. They want him to take the safer choice, a more durable, hard compound.
I said the 2 cars going with the same tyre. Are the 2 cars going with the same tyre? Are we professionals or amateurs, Terencio? That's what I'm asking you.
But Chris is still sticking his neck out for what he wants. With the clock ticking, he now just has seconds left to plead his case. Finally, promising Paul he'll look after the rubber, Chris gets what he wants, the medium tyres. So it's drivers 1, new bosses 0. 65 kilometres away, Sebastian Loeb is first onto the stages. The rest of the field follows at 2-minute intervals.
3, 2, 1.
Loeb's tyre choice was the toughest. As first on the road, he gets the worst of the loose gravel and acts as a sweeper, clearing the path for all the other drivers. That's what can happen, even if you're world champion. The spin cost Loeb 22 seconds, leaving Petter to fight Marcus Gronholm for the early lead. 390. In the control room, the team track the exact movements of the cars using a GPS system. The The system gives section-by-section times for every driver as they race through each stage. And with radio and mobile phones, they can communicate with their drivers and co-drivers. The weather's holding. Petter's tyre choice is looking good. And despite the last-minute ride height change, he's fast. He finishes the stage 8 seconds in the lead.
It's about time.
Next stage, and Petter's still flying.
2 minus.
Literally.
15 left minus, tightens 1 tightens. 2 left up long, open 10. 1 left plus, tightens.
Ouch. That's what a side swipe from a gate post at 90 kilometers an hour looks like.
Okay. 2 left plus up long.
Phil's quickly back into his rhythm, but his door is dented and his window is smashed, blowing dust and grit into the cockpit. When your rivals are hard on your heels, a little aircon's not going to slow you down. Gronholm's just 3 seconds behind, and Loeb just 20. Another stage, another collision. A rock has punctured the right rear tyre. Argentina is living up to its reputation as a car wrecker.
Real slow, we've got 2 corners left.
No, lucky.
Clear the stage, we have a puncture.
The tyre's not just been punctured, it's totally blown apart. It's ripped through the carbon fibre bodywork and may have broken vital components. Petter's #1 technician, John McLean, is straight on the phone.
What's the damage we're talking here? Just, is it cosmetic or?
With a detailed rundown, he can plan the major repairs the car needs. The puncture has cost Petter 6 seconds, dropping him from 1st to 3rd place. And by the time he arrives at time control, he's had another puncture. He's driven nearly 40 kilometres back to the service park on the rim. A frustrating morning leaves Petter wondering whether Pirelli, bad luck, or just pushing too hard has let him down.
The tyre was quite worn after that stage. So I don't know if the tyre was working too much on the next few stages also,
Looking at the damage, it's clear that the choice of medium compound rubber was not to blame. This was a fight to the death between Italian tyres and Argentine rocks, and the rocks won. Now it's the mechanics versus the clock. John's team has just 30 minutes to turn this wreck back into a rally winner.
Okay. Yeah, don't do that. 22
Top of the sail.
Flag.
Radiators are cleared of sand, metal is hammered back into shape, and the damaged doors are replaced. It's already a busy morning for sparesman Charlie Dodd.
Petter hit a post, a gate post, I think, on stage 4, and bent the rear door. The front door, it didn't do a lot of damage, but it broke the window, unfortunately. So we put this way in service to change the window, to change the door.
Charlie's brought hundreds of spare parts, but he's counting on not needing any more doors because he's only brought 2.
I've been doing this part of the job for 5 years now, and got away with it up till now, so we'll see how it goes. Come back and see us in a couple of days and see if I'm frantically trying to straighten out more doors.
And the way to repair bodywork on a €600,000 rally car? Subaru blue duct tape.
Good. Get that done. Don't worry, the bodywork, get the right height. Front needed deep tape. 5 minutes to go well.
Petter's car is fitted with hard compound tyres for this afternoon's hotter, drier stages.
The back, all right? Down to the back. Check and go on the floor. Good job, Stevie. Got a nice minute to play with. Pinned in, clean. Lovely. Well done, girls. Spot on.
With a leisurely 15 seconds to spare, service is complete. The afternoon stages begin with La Falda, one of the most hazardous stages of the rally. Its high-speed jumps and tight corners are an extreme test of the toughness of both car and driver.
Destroys your car. I mean, you have to go in and see it to experience it. Even on television, it looks a bit rough, but honestly, you would do 25 miles an hour down some of those bits of road in your car, thinking I was wrecking it. And these guys are doing 125 if they can. So, shows no mercy.
The whole team are nervous, as the stage also has the rally's most spectacular river crossings, including the water splash that destroyed Petter's car in 2004.
He has seen the stones on the extreme right, he said he needs to keep in.
Stones or no stones, Petter knows exactly how he's planning to drive here.
Best way is flat out. that for me is the best way and the only way.
Thousands of spectators have lined the banks, all hoping to see the water claim another victim. Loeb's through. Gronholm's through. Petter's determined not to satisfy the crowds.
Keep right to the crest 18, keep right to the water splash.
His foot's to the floor.
Back right to the crest, 120.
Relief all round.
It's Swahili, means no worries. You haven't seen The Lion King, have you? No.
But on the next stage, the Argentinian rally claims its first high-profile victim. Gronholm stalls his car and can't get it back into gear.
Suddenly, engine stalled and now we cannot move the car at all.
One of the main competitors, you can say, has taken a bit of trouble today. That's the sport. It's been us for the last few events, now somebody else's bad luck, so you see.
Sebastian Loeb inherits the lead and Petter moves into second place. At the end of day one, Petter may be 20 seconds behind Loeb, but as he limps into the service park with yet another puncture, he's unexpectedly upbeat.
And you are so very close from Sebastian. You've got only 20 seconds.
19. Big difference. I was absolutely...
With 2 days of competition still to go, that's an achievable target. Petter's been up since 5. He's running on pure adrenaline.
Petter is a very competitive person. If you tell him to run 10k 3 times a week, he'll run 15k 7 times a week. So we have to be very strict on Petter. Slow down, take it easy. Right, now go and have a rest, go and have a break.
He's drunk about 7 litres today and hasn't passed any water whatsoever, so he's pretty dehydrated.
And his day isn't finished yet. As one of the top 3 drivers, he's expected at a press conference. Missed the 7 o'clock deadline and he'll incur a €5,000 fine. Meanwhile, Petter's team's set to work on the huge job of rebuilding his car. Again, they've got their work cut out, but at least they know what they're dealing with. Number 2 driver Chris Atkinson has had a strange day. No problems with his hard-won tyres, but a mysterious handling problem has left him off the pace and down the field. And his engineers working late, replaying the entire day's onboard camera footage, searching for a solution. Ghost in the machine, or in Chris's head. At least both the Subarus have survived the first day. More than can be said of either of their main rivals. Loeb's teammate Pons is out, Gronholm's out, and Ford's second driver, Mikko Hirvonen, has also retired with engine failure. It all adds up to the best first day of a rally that Subaru have had all year. The team's big shake-up seems to be paying off.
So tomorrow is a key day. We have to try to go for Sebastian, and I'm pretty confident that we're going to get it.
Saturday morning and the game's changed. Overnight, there's been a thunderstorm and heavy rain.
The day is going to be very, very long. Yesterday was 45% of the rally. Today is another 45%, and tomorrow is 10% left. You know, so if we don't do the job today, it will be hard to do it tomorrow.
Once again, Petter's fate lies in his choice of tyres. Teams must judge if the weather will clear and allow the roads to dry out, or if the rain's likely to return. Rally leader Loeb bets on rain and opts for the softest tyres he has. Petter gambles on the weather clearing and goes for mediums. With just 19 seconds between them, Petter's counting on his tyre choice to give him an edge to chase Loeb down. It's staying dry, and halfway through the first stage, Petter's already made up 3 seconds. But before he can really attack, he's got something else to deal with.
Yeah, hello.
While changing gear, Petter's paddle shift has broken off in his hands.
Yes, it's actually snapping. It's snapped up.
Done a gear change, broken, this carbon's failed, it's broken off, so all he's left with is a small piece sticking out, and without that, the car won't change gear.
The gear lever broke. We're just at the water splash, and
Currently going to try and make a lever. Maybe something from tool roll, mole grips, or use some cable ties, hose clips.
Taped it and tie wrapped it, and hopefully it will last.
With Petter's fix in place, he continues to the second stage of the morning. But now the weather is deteriorating and the drivers are complaining of poor visibility. With his medium tyres, Petter struggles to find grip on the increasingly slippery surface.
Small crest, 120.
His gamble has failed. By the time he returns to the service park, he's lost another 40 seconds. He's still in second place, but now nearly a whole minute behind Loeb.
I think it's all been down to tyre choice this morning. The stages were a lot more, there was a lot more mud in the stages than I expected, and we lost some time with it basically.
They may be putting on a brave face, but with only a quarter of the rally left to race, it's a huge setback. With 8 stages to go, Petter has left himself with a massive challenge to get his first win of the season here in Argentina. This afternoon, the cars head to a new set of stages to the south of the service park. Conditions will be totally different from this morning on these fast, flat roads.
200.
The sensible way for Petter to drive now will be to get the car home safely and claim second place. But Petter doesn't do sensible. The car feels good and he goes for maximum attack. His plan is to try to pressure Loeb into making a mistake. With both drivers and their teams watching each other's times, it's become a mind game. Petter pushes, Loeb responds. But a single mistake could cost either driver the rally. Stage after stage, Petter reels Loeb in.
Right bus, 150. Big jump. Keep right to the crest.
second by second, he narrows the gap. Petter wins stage 16, 17 and 18, and by the end of the day, he's made up 17 seconds. It's not been enough to make Rally's Iceman crack. But for the first time this year, Petter is in his element.
That's what he lives for. He lives to be in the car, and if he's at one with the car, then he will be happy and he's getting the stage times. You know, he comes back to service and the fans want to see him, and he's where he wants to be, and that's what Petter's like.
No, I think I found the limit. Personally, no, I think I found the limit because I can't do anything more with the dampers.
That's right. You're on zero. You're -1.
I can't do anything more with the rider.
Yeah.
But everything we have done is right.
Just say.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
But like it was now earlier, it's the best. It's the best car I ever beat.
For attacking. It's it's a roller coaster, isn't it? Really. English doesn't have the right word for a day like today. I guess you have to be satisfied to a certain level with today, but happy's when you are winning every stage easily. Then I would probably be happy, but not until then.
Sunday morning, the final day of the rally. Petter's a massive 43 seconds behind Loeb, but it's not over yet. Because both drivers still have to negotiate the highest, toughest stages of the rally. Thousands of fans have camped overnight along the route of these famous stages.
It's like being on the moon. There's massive big rocks, faces, and through the mountains.
At 2,000 feet above sea level, El Condor is the rally's highest point, and a place where nature destroys man's machines.
A lot of people have paid a big price in these stages. A lot of big stones get pulled out. The rally is not over by far, not after them, not without them stages out of the way.
In Argentina, they call this a road. But even here, there's no way Petter's easing off. He lowers the gap to just 32 seconds.
Get the stuff in the air.
But time is running out. Because the last two stages are just 2 kilometers long in the Cordoba football stadium. Sebastian Loeb simply has to drive it home, leaving Petter to claim second. And despite never solving his mystery handling problems, Chris brings it home in 6th. After that disastrous start to the season, getting 2 cars to the finish is a great result for the team's new bosses.
Ultimately, we've been very reliable. We've delivered the speed against Sebastian and Marcus.
On the high points, that the reliability of the car. Very strong, no problems at all in a very, very tough event. There have been a lot of retirements, a lot of people penalties. We've been very strong all the way through.
Petter is back in the fight. Life goes on without his old mentor. He's rediscovered his confidence in himself, in the car, and his new-look team. It was a rally in which Petter was the fastest. But Argentina, the car wrecker, threw the works at him. A gate post, the rocks, a broken gear shift, punctures, and ultimately one wrong tyre choice were the difference between victory and second place.
It could have been very interesting if we didn't have any of the problems, so I'm looking forward to the next few gravel rallies because things are looking very good.
For Petter, second place is never going to be good enough. Just as well, he's a man that never stops. He never gives up. Halfway through a grueling season, the World Rally Championship throws up its toughest test yet. A double challenge. The smooth, treacherous tarmac of Germany and the rough, high-speed gravel of Finland.
Get out. Okay.
Between them, just 2 days and a 2,000-kilometre dash over land and sea. For one team, this is the chance to put a miserable 6 months behind them.
This is where we start the season, and I think put a decent show in for the rest of the year.
But can they master both surfaces and take the rough with the smooth? It's a tough way to start a comeback. Subaru driver Petter Solberg's goal this year was to regain the World Championship he won in 2003. His new Impreza should have set the world alight, but from the start the car suffered reliability problems. Since then, Petter has been trying to squeeze more performance out of the car to catch his rivals. The superfast Frenchman Sébastien Loeb driving a Citroën, and the experienced Finn Marcus Gronholm in his Ford. So far, Petter has managed to wrestle his car to just 2 second places. Now the team is going all out to take the next step to start winning. So an 8-week break between rallies in the middle of the season has been no summer holiday for Subaru. Instead, team boss Paul Howarth has been pushing everyone hard, rebuilding, testing and improving the car. Changes have been made to the suspension, brakes and roll cage. And component redesign has allowed a massive 35 kilos to be shifted around the car, lowering its centre of gravity, improving handling. But will this complete overhaul bring success in the double challenge ahead? 2 paired rallies, 2 days apart. They call it a back-to-back. First, the Smooth, Rally Germany, one of the only 4 tarmac events in the season. It's fast, technical, and in the wet, treacherous. Then the Rough, Finland, the spiritual home of rallying. Run on hard gravel tracks lined with trees, it's the fastest and most dangerous rally in the calendar. Before they leave England, the engineers must prepare for both. The chassis and engine will be the same for both rallies. But the trucks are also stuffed with brakes, suspension, engine cooling parts and tyres dedicated to each surface. It's also a double challenge for the drivers. Chris Atkinson, Subaru number 2 driver, grew up on the dirt tracks of Australia's Gold Coast, but he's learning fast how to handle the black stuff.
Tarmac cornering, a bit different to gravel cornering. It's all about a crossover between brake pressure and steering as you come into the corner. So do most of your braking in a straight line generally. You decrease the brake pressure, then you increase the steering angle, turn in and then do your exit, and then come on the throttle like that.
It's all about split-second timing at key moments. Get it wrong, and you're either too slow or you're gone.
See, in Germany, the roads are only as wide as the car, so it doesn't leave much room for error.
Subaru's top test driver, Terry Cabey, thinks gravel is all about confidence.
On gravel, once the car starts moving around on the loose surface, you do need the confidence to know just how far the car will slide. And if you're doing speeds in excess of 150 kilometres an hour, you know all of that happens very fast.
Okay, so we're approaching this hairpin. We're in 5th gear, braking now. Going through the box. Now the car's sliding a little bit the other way just to get the momentum of the car to slide it in. The back's sliding out. We're trying to control that. Touch of the handbrake. Steering into the slide, looking for traction. Trying to get the drive out in a straight line as possible.
The big difference from tarmac is the tiny adjustments made all the way through the corner, judged by the seat of your pants. two very different driving techniques, two different mindsets for the drivers. But they can only succeed in the double challenge ahead if the team's engineers have really solved the problems with this year's car. With two rallies on totally different surfaces just 2 days apart, the Subaru team are ready to face part one of the challenge, the smooth tarmac of Germany. The rally is run in the valleys around the Mosel River. 3 days and 350 kilometres of timed stages on closed roads. Between stages, they must keep to speed limits on public roads. In total, they will drive 1,800 kilometres before the end of the rally at midday on Sunday. Odds-on favourite to win here is world champion and tarmac king Sebastian Loeb. He loves the surface and has won here 4 times. Petter has won 13 world rallies, but only 1 on tarmac. Like most Scandinavian drivers, he learned to drive on slippery forest trails and feels more at home on gravel. But he's hoping that 8 weeks of intensive redesign and testing will give him the chance to change that. On this year's tarmac rally, Subaru have drafted an ex-Formula 1 driver, Stefan Salazin. His experience in circuit racing should give him an advantage here, but his last 3 rallies have been disappointing. Germany is the final tarmac event of the year, so this could be Stefan's last chance to establish himself in the sport. Team boss, Paul Howarth, is impatient for better results.
We want to be in the top 5. We want to be closer, reducing the gap between the Citroens and the Fords on this surface.
Today's shakedown. The 4-hour practice session is a last chance to fine-tune the cars. Although there are no points at stake, rivalry between the drivers means they all want to get the fastest time. As expected, Loeb posts the quickest time of the morning on the 3.5-kilometre course, but more surprising is that Petter is only 0.02 of a second behind him.
Well, either everybody else has decided to drive through slowly, or we are closer to the opposition.
We have done a lot of work in the last 2 months, and the team have been absolutely on their head to make improvements, and it feels like and looks like we have done some good ones.
For once, it looks as though Petter's Impreza may have the legs to match Loeb on his own surface. Petter goes out for one more test run.
Last 6 right bus, keep in, opens out long 200, 5 right bus tightens, and cut shot for left bus, opens, 150.
At 130 kilometres an hour, Petter has hit a tree. Incredibly, both Petter and co-driver Phil Mills are unhurt, but the car looks like a write-off.
On gravel we can get away with many things, but on tarmac everything has to be right.
Petter must wait for the engineers to decide whether they can repair the car in time for the start, now just 16 hours away. Paul decides to go for it. He orders a new engine to be rushed from HQ in England, but it won't arrive until the evening. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the technicians start to strip the car down. The damaged body shell is straightened out, rally style. The shell is squeezed, beaten and cut back into shape by a 20-man relay team. The evening before the rally, it's the all-star drive-through. For Petter and Phil, it's a walkthrough. At 11:40 p.m, just 11 hours before Petter is due on the start line, the engine arrives. Altogether, 89 major components are replaced. At 3 o'clock in the morning, with 5 hours to spare, the car is ready. The exhausted technicians have worked 350 man-hours. If this were your local garage, you'd be getting a bill for at least €14,000. Paul's faith in his technicians has been rewarded. Against all the odds, Petter has a car to start the rally.
Yeah, new car. It's not bad actually. It's 100%. So the only problem is that we didn't have the same geometry that we had on the shakedown yesterday, and that's how it is.
I need to adjust the car a little bit this morning.
Weather always plays a big part in rallying, but especially on tarmac. Rain can turn a tight 100 kilometers an hour bend into a skid pan. But today the weather forecasters just can't say for sure where and when it will rain. So Petter decides to play safe and heads for the start of stage 1 on soft intermediate tyres.
6 by 120.
The changeable weather causes chaos. Many drivers are caught on the wrong tyres. Loeb sets the pace, winning the early stages. After his big crash, Petter is rebuilding his confidence, but climbs to 3rd place by mid-morning.
Well done anyway.
I took it very, very carefully. I didn't want to take any risk at all. I need to come back in the rhythm again after what happened yesterday.
Meanwhile, tarmac expert Stefan's choice of wet weather tyres is a bad call. He misses the showers and cooks his tyres.
So, a very soft car, everything soft, everything wrong.
After 4 stages, back at service, Stefan can change his tyres and his suspension settings to suit the drier than expected weather. At the head of the field, Loeb gets a dry run. With the cars running 2 minutes apart, by the time Stefan comes through, it's been raining again. A morning of wet tyres in the dry and an afternoon of slicks in the wet leaves Subaru's tarmac man down in 10th place at the end of leg 1. In contrast, gravel man Petter, in his hastily rebuilt car, has got his confidence back and is in 5th place. Day 2 of the German rally is run to the south of the service park on narrow military roads. The rain has gone, so tyre choices will be much easier today. From the start, Petter's closing on the leaders.
150. -5 on Grano. 6 right pass. No. Oh.
But it was too good to last.
Oh, just find somewhere to put it. Supervision, Bill.
5-4.
Yeah, we stopped engine.
It looks like an engine failure, but we never say that until we actually inspect the engine and find out what's gone wrong. But it sounds terminal.
Petter's engine failure leaves team boss Paul with a decision to make. Option 1, work like crazy to fit a new engine, take a massive time penalty and re-enter the rally with no chance of a good result. Or choose to retire the car and have a whole extra day to prepare for one of Petter's favourite rallies of the year.
Well, we don't want a retirement, obviously, but it actually gives a bit of a jump start. It means now we can spend the next day and a half preparing Petter's car for Finland.
Although Petter's rally has been ended by component failure, he's encouraged by the performance leap in the car.
Many of the things that we have done with the car before this rally and for Finland has improved a lot, so I'm quite positive now, actually.
And his lucky technicians can look forward to their second engine change in 48 hours.
I think we've got a new engine coming about 9 o'clock tonight. So it'll be midnight-ish. We're getting quite used to that now, so never mind.
When the new engine arrives, the night shift clock on again. The last leg of Rally Germany is deliberately short to allow the teams time to pack up and get on the road to Finland. As the cars leave the service park for the last time, the drivers are just 68 competitive kilometres from the finish. After a better second day, Stefan Sarrazin is now 8th. He's just 4 stages left to impress the boss. But Paul just wants him to bring the car back in one piece.
To go for the boat, you got an hour's.
Meanwhile, Ken Rees is starting his own race against the clock.
We're starting this pack up now for the next few hours, but also the rally's ongoing, so we have to carry on looking after the cars as well and monitoring all that. So it's quite a busy time overall.
Ken now has the entire 60-person team under his command. They've just 4 hours to pack up the entire circus. Workshops, catering units, spare parts and, of course, the cars themselves into the 7 waiting trucks. By exactly 1:30 this afternoon, they must start the 2,000-kilometre drive to Finland. With the rally teams focused on the pack-up, it's hard to believe there's a rally going on. Only Ken is left to keep an eye on Stefan, 40 kilometres to the south. He's pushing hard to get 7th place. A broken gearbox is not what the doctor ordered.
Bring the car back here and we'll tire it.
Loeb wins Rally Germany, making it 5 wins here out of 5.
So there's a big hole in the side of the gearbox casing, we'll know.
There's no champagne for Subaru.
You don't know if the wheels are still spinning.
And Stefan tries to explain.
I did a mistake. I went straight on the mud, the corners, and I lost my rally, so it's bad.
It will be Stefan's last drive for the team. His contract will not be renewed.
It's disappointing. If anyone says it was good, then you know, the result is not what we want to do. But the positive side of it is that, you know, the amount of effort people are willing to put in to take it forward, and the effort that went in before we got here.
And the weekend's problems aren't over yet. Now the car transporter's broken down.
Batteries have failed on the ramp, unfortunately. And we need to make it work fairly quickly, otherwise we're struggling.
With a jump start from Pirelli and the 2 cars on the top deck, the convoy is finally ready to move off, only 15 minutes late. The Subaru team will be glad to see the back of Germany, but to have any chance of a good result in Finland, they must get the cars and 85 tons of spares and equipment to Rostock, the ferry port, in just 12 hours. It's the first leg of a 2,000-kilometre endurance race. No speeding, no room for a single wrong turn, and there's only one ferry to Finland tomorrow, and they've got to be on it. Team forward up a duck. The convoy arrives at the ferry port with an hour to spare. The trucks embark and 7 tired drivers can get their heads down. The journey from Rostock to Hanko in Finland will take 24 hours. The ferry doesn't berth until 7 AM on Tuesday, just 2 days before the start of Rally Finland. The rally has been held in the forest around the town of Jyväskylä in southern Finland for over 50 years. Tarmac rallies, like Germany, are high-speed events because of the smoother surface. But surprisingly, the hard-packed gravel trails and long straights of Finland are even faster. It's so fast that the locals call it the Finnish Grand Prix. Every year, thousands of spectators head into the forest to get close to the action. Keeping them safe from the hurtling rally cars is a priority for the organisers. Seppo Harjan was once a flying Finn as co-driver for Tommi Mäkinen. He won the Finnish rally an amazing 8 times. So he knows every metre of every stage like the back of his hand. Now he uses his experience to police the 22 stages that make up the rally.
The car will pass this place here, about 160 kph. And if anything goes wrong here, it's not going to stop in the first stone or tree.
The trouble is fans do get over-enthusiastic.
Seeing the cars passing, they want to see them closer, little bit closer, so we have to push them back.
Seppo drives every metre of the 350 kilometres to make sure that there will be enough marshals on dangerous bends and jumps. Apart from them, all that keeps the spectators from the road is a thin strip of plastic tape. It's the last lap of the journey. The trucks arrive at Hanko docks and there's just a 5-hour drive to go. The rest of the team have flown from Germany and are waiting anxiously in Jyväskylä for the convoy to arrive. Normally they have 4 or 5 days to get the cars ready, but not on a back-to-back.
We're nearly 2 days behind, aren't we, what we normally are? I think we'll have a few phone calls en route saying how far away, how much more, you know, longer you've got to go.
Have you seen or heard from Mark? Not yet. I'm just trying to hang back and wait for him a little bit.
At last, after 2,000 kilometres and 2 days, the convoy arrives in Jyväskylä.
Plan now, get everything washed, get it parked up, get the big structure up, ready for the cars to go underneath, and then just start setting up. Finish probably somewhere near midnight tonight, hopefully.
Almost a kilometre of aluminium beams are bolted and slotted together and, like a giant construction set, slowly transform into the control rooms, technical areas, canteen and VIP entertainment. And, of course, the huge tent that will cover the workshop area for the rally cars. Tomorrow, the engineers have just 1 day to turn 2 broken tarmac cars into high-speed gravel rally winners. Part 2 of the Double Challenge. With 1 day left to go before the rally, Camp Subaru is ready for inspection.
What we see are the awnings up now, and the hospitality area is now being finished off inside. In the middle here, we still got boxes and containers which are going to be moved, and the setup bed put in there. The engineering office is functioning at the back, and all that's working. The teams area, I'd say 85% of the way there.
Overnight, vital replacement parts have arrived.
This is the gearbox that's just arrived from England. It got shipped out last minute due to the last rally. We broke 3 of the boxes. There's about 3 or 4 hours worth of work. Maybe 5 because I'm quite tired.
Director of Engineering Steve Farrell is overseeing the changeover of cars from smooth tarmac settings to rough gravel.
I mean, the World Rally Championship has got a great variation in venues, but that's probably the biggest contrast, really. And there are many things that get changed on the cars to adapt to the different conditions. Ride heights, so the car here will run about 30 to 40 millimetres higher than in Germany. It has to absorb bumps here, so we've tend to have softer springs. You have different damping rates to allow for the impacts, especially here where we have a lot of jumps.
Although there's still a question mark over the reliability of his car, the improved performance in Germany has given Petter a real hope that he can win the Finnish rally.
You're always a little bit nervous, of course, and thinking a lot about the setup, and because we have done a lot with the car, so I see a light in the tunnel now. It's no doubt.
But Petter faces tough competition here. Local knowledge is crucial, so apart from the world champion, Petter's main rivals will come from the Ford team's 2 Finnish drivers. Marcus Grönholm has won here 4 times before, and teammate Mikko Hirvonen lives just up the road. For the Finns, being fast here is a matter of personal honour.
If you've got stage records here, you're recognised as being the boy, you know, really. So they get a bit wound up more than... They don't get wound up normally, but here they do like to. Serious big dog, should I say.
Steve is taking it personally too, determined to draw a line under the worst first half of a season Subaru have ever had.
We have done an awful lot of work over the last 2 months, and I think and we all think that we've made some good progress, but the ultimate test is getting out and seeing what stage times we are compared to everybody else. This is, for me, ground zero. This is where this is where we start the season, and I think put a decent show in for the rest of the year.
At Shakedown, it's first blood to Gronholm, top dog on the 2 kilometre stage. But the real showdown starts tomorrow.
The real measure will be the first stage in the morning, a nice long stage to bed them in, and we'll find out where we are from that stage.
Petter heads off for the first stage of the day. Time to find out how he and his car really match up to the Flying Finns in their Fords. Ahead of him and the other 100 drivers are 347 kilometres of competitive stages. It's dogfight time. Former co-driver Lewis Moyer was the first non-Scandinavian to win the Finnish rally back in 1990. Now he brings his knowledge of the stages to the Subaru control room.
I did this first stage for the first time in 1988, and then it has been ever since in the rally. This bit here, it's along a farm, and it's almost straight. No, it's an open road. And then when you turn left, that's in the forest. And on dry, I think the average speed is 126 kilometers an hour.
Paul, Lewis and Ken can usually follow the driver's progress on screen as a GPS tracker is fitted to every car. But this morning, there's a glitch.
What's wrong with Petter's system, do you know?
But Ken's got a backup plan and tells his weather crews to get out some good old-fashioned stopwatches.
Okay. As the first car comes past, they set the watch and then we go on that. Sometimes you can't beat the old system, manual.
The Flying Finns get off to a flying start. Marcus wins the Lankamar stage with Mikko Hirvonen second. Petter is a close third. Ruumäki is only 7 kilometres long, but has in spades what Rally Finland is famous for: enormous jumps.
Somewhere along here, there are 3 consecutive jumps. Ruumäki has been very famous. There is a lot of people that goes there.
The crowds are gathering to watch the big jumps, but hundreds have camped out in the forest and have been drinking all night. Just 8 minutes before the stage starts, safety coordinator Seppo Harjan is worried and sends out safety cars to clear the stage.
This was a little bit risky, people. The young people with a bottle in the hand and still moving.
In less than 4 minutes, Marcus Gronholm will be screaming through here at nearly 200 kilometres an hour. If any of the drunken fans stray into the road, there will be a disaster. Time to call in the helicopter. If the helicopter doesn't clear the road, the stage will have to be cancelled. Just in front of the first rally car, the final safety car drives the stage at full speed. It's the last warning. The stage is finally cleared and the helicopter follows the first car off the line. Over the big jumps of Ruumäki, Gronholm stretches his lead. Moog is second, with Petter just 2.3 seconds behind. Halfway through the day, it's back to Jyväskylä for a 45-minute service. As the technicians race to service his car, Petter is anxious to get his afternoon tyre choice right.
Not easy coming rain. Because it's more and more muddy and shit there. It's not like, they're driving across the road.
Based on a forecast from Ken that the stages will dry out, he selects hard compound tyres with cuts for extra grip.
Full attack.
Okay. The next group of stages contains some of the most bone-crunching jumps in motorsport. Literally. Last year, 2 co-drivers suffered cracked vertebrae from hard landings here.
Black crest, 115.
This year, no bones are broken, but the cars are suffering. The enormous jumps are testing chassis and suspension, and the lethal mix of high speed, mud and loose dirt wreaks havoc. Petr gets caught behind a damaged car and loses time. At the end of the first day, only 86 of the 101 starters are still running. Rally Finland is taking no prisoners.
It was so sleepy, I mean. Hui, incredible.
Because I had a harder tires on, so when I hit the mud, this was no grips whatsoever, so it was very tough, very tough.
Petr finishes leg one in fourth. He's struggling to keep up with the Flying Finns, but with a day and a half left, he's still in the chase. Meanwhile, Chris Atkinson, Subaru's regular number 2 driver, has got his car back after lending it to Stefan for Germany. He's had a good day, driving consistently fast and finishing 6th. Petr reviews the day with his engineer, FX. He senses something's not right with the handling in fast corners.
You can feel it bending and you lose the inside wheel. I almost lost the car completely.
The changes over the summer have made a difference, but it's not quite enough. To try and squeeze a fraction more performance from the cars, they both get a gearbox change.
There's enough cause for optimism. It's an encouraging day, but really we haven't really done as well as we should have. Some of the things we can sort out for tomorrow. The rest of it's in the sky.
Weather crews at the moment are saying it's clear sky, 14 degrees. So it's going to be a dry day.
It's an early start and the team are determined to push for a result. With the car on the limit, the gap will have to be made up by Petr's driving ability. Paul's set him his first target, to get back 3rd place.
Oh, we need to catch Mikko. He's on his own event, so he'll not be easily rattled. So we'll just have to push him and see.
Chris arrives for the 10-minute routine service allowed at the start of each day. But just seconds before he's due to leave, his technicians hit a problem. They've run out of gas used to pressurise the gearbox hydraulics.
It's going on here, this is the only way, and all we can do is...
Chris's engineer, Richard Thompson, takes control.
A pair of mole grits now.
If Chris doesn't get out on time, he'll get a heavy time penalty.
Yeah, no, it's late, it's late.
He leaves 3 minutes late and gets a 30-second penalty. Not the start to the day they wanted.
What the hell's going on with this lot?
It's not a part failure. The late nights have caught up with the exhausted technicians. This time, it's down to human error.
When the transmission technician went to regas the system, his gas bottle was empty. We had to then run around and try and find a solution for regassing the accumulator. We used a welding bottle. The trouble with that, the bottle pressure wasn't high enough. So this morning, the gas pressure in Chris's gearbox is something like 15 bar when it should be 80 bar, and as a result of that, he'll probably miss a couple of gears on the loop.
So on top of his 30-second penalty, Chris must now drive the morning stages with a dodgy gearbox.
If the transmission doesn't change the gear and you're suddenly going to neutral at 200 kph, it's really quite serious. And Chris needs to be careful. He needs to kind of use his brain a little bit and just try and drive safely and get to the exit of the corner before he changes gear.
Chris is using all his driving skill to battle with the failing box, but he's slowing all the time. Petr starts 2 minutes behind him and is gaining fast.
Sean, heading right, double tighter.
70, hug long, 7 right, 8, then hug.
The gear change is getting worse, and 15 kilometres into the stage, Chris is unable to select gears at all.
We lost gears. Yeah, from the supervision, can you copy we've lost gears in the stage? Get out of the way. Yeah.
What gear are you in now, Chris?
The team are worried. With Chris stopped in the middle of a fast straight, Petter could run into the back of his car.
Warn Petter, get out. Petter, okay. I'm in the road and I can't move. Have you got reverse? That's like the first.
Chris manages to select a gear and moves out of the way.
Reverse selected first. Neutral's in a gear now. I can keep driving to the end of the stage a bit, but... Yeah, we'll do that.
It's moving now. Yeah.
I'll let Petter go past. Yeah.
Petter's gone past.
Petter's on a charge and has already hit his first target of snatching third place.
Third stage, 953.1, 53.1.
Chris is now locked in third gear and faces 2 more stages before midday service. Petter and Phil are on their way to the next stage. Despite a fast time, Petter is still worried about the handling at high speed.
Do the same again now, Phil, then?
How much of that is tyres, Petter?
No, it's not tyres on that stuff, Phil.
Yeah?
No, I can feel it's the chassis.
Well done anyway, nice drive.
They're heading for Onimpoja, the most feared stage in World Rally.
All over the States there are jumps in these states, and there is one which is the most famous jump in the World Rally Championship, which is a jump that you arrive in 6th gear, probably 180 kilometers an hour, and the organizers, they always put marks after the jump to see who jumps further.
It's World Rally's long jump contest.
So you'll have the names of the previous drivers, the furthest on the side of the road. It's quite impressive.
So the main thing is that you just have to judge, okay, this time flat out, and you're jumping far, but you keep the speed up.
It's closer to flying than driving. Petter lost his spoiler here last year, but somehow miraculously got the car back on the road.
I think it's probably the most difficult stage in the World Rally Championship.
Keep out into 6 left plus long, opens up a jump.
In fact, Petter is the fastest man ever over Onimpoja. 2 years ago, he broke the stage record with an average speed of 130 kilometers an hour.
Early short, 6 right minus with a crest, black crest at 200.
That was incredible. Even I get my hair going up from my arms when I see it.
150, minus 6, right into 6 left.
You have to take your brain out and leave it at the service area, and then go and take the stage.
This year, the drivers do their best to beat the 54-metre jump record. Cars take off from the big crest, jumping up to 5 metres off the ground. This is rally driving for real men. Petter starts the stage with his sights on second place.
Starting now, Lewis.
115. Line to 6 left minus.
Then, and it's just 2 minutes, isn't it? And then start to think about pulling over.
Once more, the team are anxious to get Chris off the road to give Petter a clear run. Chris pulls over, but Petter doesn't pass him.
Open to 40, got 5 left minus long, keep in the... Supervision gone off at the stage.
No.
Hold on, I'll come back now. Just what? He was only 45 seconds in.
See any speed on him? First thing I always think about is a crew. You know, when they said have gone off, and you only hear one of them, then you hear no more information. It's a gap between getting we've gone off to having more information. So that time, it's the time after they say they've gone off because you don't know the facts. I don't think of anything else. You can build new cars. Yeah. So, and you know here the speed of the event, and when somebody says they've gone off, you know it's a big accident.
Petter's car's rolled 4 times, but miraculously he's missed the trees. Petter and Phil are shocked, but unhurt.
Are we alright?
Petter's been on. Sounds good.
Okay, mate, so just take a minute and get a breath.
And there, so.
Petter's flown back in the safety helicopter. As soon as he returns, he reviews the accident.
When I was inside in the car. I was thinking of hopefully nothing hits me inside the car, and I was stuck to the steering wheel very hard, so and luckily everything worked okay.
The driver's got something to hang on to. The co-driver's got nothing, so the best thing you can do is make yourself into a little ball and hope for the best. So, yeah, you don't get much time to think about it anyway, that's for sure.
As soon as the car is recovered, it's hidden away behind the service area. The engineers and bosses are quick to start the post-mortem. There's no question of repair, although Petter's first thought had been to try the engine.
I started it, I remember, and then I just looked on the left on the roll cage there, maybe not.
Safety rules dictate that if the roll cage is damaged, the car cannot be repaired. Petter's rally is over. Steve Farrell knows that the performance of the car has improved, but Petter's crash is perhaps the clearest measure of how much more there is to do.
I think we all accept that we've got a performance deficit to the other cars, and that sometimes he tries to make up that deficit himself, and largely he does, and largely gets away with it.
We are maybe pushing a little bit too much compared to what we should do, but sometimes there's no limit, but today it was.
I fully accept that a driver of that competitive nature, even if they haven't got the equipment to finish first, are still going to attempt almost the impossible. And in doing that, we're actually forcing him to drive beyond the limits of the car, and that clearly is going to be, you know, he's having to take more risks.
Well, guys, I just want to say a couple of words when you're here now. Sorry for what happened. That's how it is. We're trying very hard.
Petter may sound like he's apologising, but like Steve, he feels that ultimately the engineering of the car is to blame.
Many kilometers. So when you do, for example, 12, 15 kilometers, something changes in the car, and I don't know what it is. Everybody do mistakes. I did it today. And you will not prepare the car again. Trust me. So I just want to say thank you, guys. And
thank you very much.
Meanwhile, Chris's gearbox problem loses him 15 minutes. The rest of his event is used to test setups for the next rally in Japan.
Well impressed.
Marcus Gronholm wins Rally Finland with a massive 40-second lead over Sebastian Loeb. The double challenge is over. It hasn't been the glorious comeback the team had hoped for, but Paul can find plenty of positives.
The biggest motivator at the moment is that all the boys in the team and the girls come to win. You know, it's as big a part of it for them it is for the drivers. And what they're seeing over the last two events is actually performance. That is motivating them. So they know that if it all comes together, we will get the results.
I don't think that today's accident has made me rethink our strategy. We're going to take more risks in order to get the performance level of the car. Well, frankly, in order to win before the end of the year. What's the alternative? Is to say, well, hang on, let's just finish third for a little while. That's not a strategy, you know, for being in a competition. I certainly couldn't do it personally, and I think that's the accepted stance from everybody.
We've just got to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. When the floodgates open, I've seen this happen so many times before, you go through these dry spells, and when it opens, it all comes together. The car's right, the driver's right, the team's right, and then it'll work.
But with Rally Japan just 14 days away, the time to get it right is running out. On their home rally, the bosses at Subaru have their pride at stake.